I still remember the exact second the radio stopped making sense. Not because it went silent, but because it didn't. It kept breathing like something alive was stuck inside it. Unit 14, do you copy? The voice came through slow, cracked, almost tired. Like it had been waiting a long time just to say my name. But I hadn't even given my call sign yet. I glanced at the dashboard clock. 2:13 a.m. My first night on Route 91. The highway stretched in front of me like a black ribbon cut through nothing. No lights, no houses, no movement. Just miles of road disappearing into desert darkness that looked too wide, too empty, like it was swallowing sound. I was supposed to feel proud. New assignment. Graveyard shift highway patrol. Instead, I felt like I had been dropped into a place the world forgot to finish building. The senior officer who dropped me off earlier didn't even look at the road when he left. He just said one thing. Don't stop near mile 91. That's all I'm saying. Then he drove away too fast. Like the highway might change its mind and follow him. I told myself it was just local superstition. Every department has those stories. Every station has a do not go there rumor. But then I saw the first mile marker. White metal pole. Reflector faded. Half buried in sand. It said 90. I exhaled slowly. Normal. Predictable. Safe math. I drove forward. The headlights cut through dust, revealing the next stretch of road. And then I saw something that made my stomach tighten. Without warning. Another mile marker. Too soon. It said 92. I slowed down immediately. Checked the mirrors. Looked forward again. 90, 92, number 91. I laughed under my breath, because my brain refused to accept what my eyes were telling me. Okay, I muttered. Maybe I missed it. I reversed a little. Slowly. Carefully. The desert wind scratched against a patrol car like dry fingers on glass. And then I saw it, for half a second. A thin white post standing exactly where it shouldn't exist. No number. Just blank metal. And the moment I focused on it, it wasn't there anymore. I stopped the car. The engine noise felt too loud now, like it was announcing me to something that was already watching. I checked my radio. Static, then a soft click. New guy. A different voice this time. Older, calm, almost bored. I froze. Who is this? I asked. A pause, then a soft chuckle. You're on Route 91 now. You'll learn. The radio clicked off. Just like that. No signature. No ID. No dispatch follow-up. I sat there for a moment, hands still on the wheel, staring into the darkness ahead. That's when I noticed something else. My dashboard GPS was glitching, not freezing, not lagging, rewriting. The map kept shifting, like the road itself couldn't decide where it was supposed to be. And every time I looked up at the real highway, it didn't quite match the screen. That was the first time I felt it. Not fear, something worse. Uncertainty that didn't have edges. I drove forward again, because that's what you do on your first night. You don't stop. You don't question. You finish the shift. At least, that's what I told myself. The station had given me a checklist before I left. Normal stuff. Speed checks. Accident response. Radio check-ins. But there was one line at the bottom I didn't notice until I was already on the highway. Report any anomalies at mile 91 to dispatch immediately. No explanation. No details. Just that one line. Now it sat in my mind like a stone. The road stayed empty for another few miles. Too empty. Not even animals. Not even wind sounds from passing cars. Just my engine and the slow hum of tires on asphalt that felt older than it should have been. Then I saw headlights behind me. I checked the mirror. A truck. Big transport vehicle. No markings. No company logo. Just bright, steady lights following me at a distance that made no sense. Because I hadn't seen it enter the highway. It was just there. I slowed slightly. The truck slowed too. I sped up. It matched me instantly. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Okay, I whispered. Okay, that's not normal. I reached for the radio. But before I could speak, the truck disappeared. Not turned away. Not faded into distance. Gone. like someone erased it from the road itself. My pulse jumped hard enough that I felt it in my throat. I stopped the car again, turned off the engine. Silence hit instantly. Too heavy, too complete. That's when I heard footsteps. Outside, slow, dragging across gravel near the passenger side. I turned my head sharply. Nothing, just empty desert. But the sound didn't stop. Step, pause. Step, like someone pacing around a patrol car. Studying it, I leaned slightly toward the window, tried to see through the reflection of my own face in the glass. Nothing, but the air felt closer, like space was shrinking. Then, a knock, soft, right on the passenger window. 3 taps. I jerked back so fast my shoulder hit the door. My hand went instinctively to my holster, even though I hadn't even been told what I was allowed to use yet. I looked again. Nothing there. No movement. No shadow. Just my reflection staring back at me. Except my reflection was looking slightly to the left. Not at me. At something beside me. I froze. Slowly turned my head. Nothing. But the radio clicked on again by itself. And the older voice returned. You stopped near it, didn't you? I swallowed hard. Near what? A pause. Long enough that I started to think it had cut out again. Then, mile 91. My mouth went dry. I didn't see it. A soft sigh came through the speaker. That's the point. The radio crackled. And for a second, I swear I heard something else underneath the voice. Not speech. Breathing. Very close. I turned the engine back on instantly. The sound of ignition felt like breaking a spell. I started driving again, faster this time. The road ahead looked normal again. Too normal, like nothing had happened. But my mind wasn't letting go of what I saw, or didn't see. That missing marker kept replaying in my head, the place where it should exist. The blank space in the numbers, like the highway had skipped a beat. After a few minutes, I saw lights ahead. Small building. Old rest stop, barely marked on the map. I pulled in without thinking. My hands needed something solid to touch that wasn't moving. Inside, it was dim. One flickering bulb above a counter. A man sat behind it. Older, uniform slightly worn. He looked up slowly when I entered, like he already knew I would. You're early, he said. I just need a minute. I replied. He studied me for a long second, then nodded toward a chair. First night on 91? I stopped. How do you know that? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he poured himself a cup of coffee that looked like it had been sitting there for hours. Because I used to drive it, he said quietly. That made me pause. Used to. He didn't look at me when he answered. I don't anymore. Something in his tone made my chest tighten again. Not fear exactly. More like warning without words. I sat across from him. I saw something on the road. I said, a mile marker. It disappeared. He finally looked at me, and for the first time his calm expression cracked slightly. Did you see the number 91? No, I said. That's the problem. He nodded slowly, like he was confirming something he already knew would happen. Then he leaned forward and said the one thing I wasn't prepared for. There used to be a mile 91. I waited. He continued. Then there wasn't. Silence filled the room. The flickering bulb above us buzzed like it was struggling to stay awake. I asked a question I didn't want to ask. What happened to it? The man looked down at his coffee, and when he spoke again, his voice was lower. People stopped coming back from it. My stomach tightened. Accidents. Report said accidents, he said, but accidents leave something behind. He tapped the counter lightly. Wreckage. Bodies. Debris. Tires. Something. He looked up at me again. But mile 91 didn't leave anything. That word stuck. Nothing. Not even silence. I felt the weight of the highway outside pressing against the walls of the building, like it was waiting for me to come back out. I stood up slowly. I should finish my route. The man didn't try to stop me. He just said one last thing before I reached the door. If you see again, don't look directly at it for too long. I turned slightly. What happens if I do? He didn't answer immediately. Then, you start remembering things that never happened to you. I left before I could ask anything else. Outside, the patrol car was exactly where I left it, but something about it felt different now, like it had been moved slightly when I wasn't looking. I got in, closed the door, started the engine, and as I pulled back onto Route 91, the radio clicked one more time, and the older voice returned. Except this time, it wasn't calm. It sounded closer, almost inside the car. "You're already past mile 90, it said softly. A pause. Then, "So, tell me, where you think 91 is now?" The radio went dead, but the headlights ahead of me flickered once, and for just a moment, the road number on the GPS changed. From 92 to 91, the mile marker was there until it wasn't. I swear I saw it in the mirror. White post, faded paint, standing right between the dust and the dark like it belonged to the road. Then I blinked, and the space behind my patrol car turned empty. Just desert, just wind, no sign, no number, nothing. My hands tightened on the wheel, without me telling them to, because my brain refused to accept what my eyes just watched happen. Okay, that's not possible," I whispered to myself, but the radio answered instead of me, a soft crackle, then silence, not even static this time, just a dead line, like something was holding its breath on the other side. I slowed the car down, not because I wanted to, because I needed to confirm reality again. The headlights stretched forward across the road, cutting into the black highway like a blade. Everything looked normal ahead, too normal, but behind me, I kept checking the mirror again and again, waiting for the sign to come back. It didn't. That's when I noticed something worse. The road numbers were wrong. Ahead of me, the next marker read 92. Behind me should have been 91, but the space between them felt stretched, like something had been pulled out of the world. I pulled the car over. Gravel crunched under the tires louder than it should have. Even that sound felt exaggerated, like the desert was listening. I sat there for a moment, just breathing, trying to convince myself it was fatigue. New job, night shift, empty highway, mind playing tricks. That's all it was. That's what I wanted it to be. Then I saw footprints. Outside my window. Not mine. Fresh. Pressed into the dust like someone had been walking beside my car a moment ago. I turned my head slowly. Nothing there, but the footprints continued, moving forward, parallel to my patrol car, like someone invisible was pacing me. I swallowed hard, reached for the radio again. "Dispatch, this is Unit 14. Do you copy?" Nothing. I tried again. "Dispatch, respond." A long pause. Then, a voice. Not the older one this time. Not the calm one. This one sounded closer. "You shouldn't stop there." My throat tightened instantly. "Who is this?" I asked. No answer. Just breathing again. Soft, controlled, like someone standing right behind a radio speaker. I looked around the cabin. Empty, but the air inside the car felt colder than it should have been. I put the car back in drive. Slowly, because staying still suddenly felt worse than moving. The tires rolled forward, crunching gravel back onto asphalt. And that's when the mirror changed again. The rear view mirror. I saw it clearly this time. The mile marker, standing perfectly behind me. White pole, faded metal, number 91. My breath stopped. I didn't even think. I hit the brakes. Hard. The car jerked forward and stopped. I spun around in my seat immediately, looked through the back window. Nothing. Just road. Just darkness. I turned back to the mirror. It was still there, standing right in the center of it. I blinked once. Still there. Twice. Still there. My heart started beating so loud I could hear it in my ears. "Okay," I whispered. "Okay, I see you now." I opened the door. Cold air hit my face instantly, dry and sharp like sandpaper. I stepped out. Slow. Careful. My boots hit the asphalt. No sound from the wind. No insects. Nothing. Just silence that felt intentional. I walked toward the back of the patrol car, eyes locked on the mirror, because I could still see the sign in it. Clear, sharp, waiting. But every step I took in real life made something feel wrong. The mirror wasn't matching my movement. It was lagging, like reality was delayed. I reached the back of the car, turned slowly, looked down the road behind me. Empty. No sign. No pole. No number. Just endless highway disappearing into black space. I turned back to the mirror again. Still there, standing right where it shouldn't exist. My mouth went dry. My brain started doing something strange. It started trying to explain it. Reflection glitch. Heat distortion. Light bending in desert conditions. Anything. Anything except what I was seeing. I leaned closer to the mirror, and that's when I noticed something else. The reflection of the sign wasn't just standing. It was slightly shaking. Like something behind it was moving. I frowned, focused harder, and then I saw it. A shadow behind the mile marker in the mirror. Tall, thin, not human-shaped exactly. More like it was remembering how to be human. I stepped back instantly. My boot scraped the road, and the mirror went blank. Empty. Just my own face staring back at me. Sweating. Confused. Too awake. I exhaled sharply. What the hell is this? I muttered. Then the radio clicked again. One sound. A single tone. Followed by a voice I recognize now. The older patrolman. You saw it, didn't you? I looked around instinctively. No, I said. I saw a reflection. That's all. A pause. Long enough that I almost thought it disconnected again. Then, that's how it starts. My stomach tightened. I climbed back into the car, quickly. Door slammed shut. Lock clicked. Safety felt fake, but I needed it anyway. I started the engine. The headlights flickered once before stabilizing. And when I looked forward again, the road had changed slightly. Not physically, but emotionally. Like it no longer felt like a road used by people. More like something that only pretended to be one. I drove forward again. Slow, careful, watching both mirrors now, refusing to trust either. The desert on both sides looked deeper than before, like it was expanding, breathing outward. Then I saw something on the roadside, a broken signpost, bent metal, half buried in sand. I slowed down automatically, because something about it felt familiar, too familiar. I rolled closer, and my stomach dropped. It was a mile marker base. But the number plate was gone, torn off, like it had been removed recently. Scratched metal still visible, and carved into the base, faintly, was a number. But it looked wrong, like someone had scratched it out, then rewritten it, over and over, layers of attempts, like the number couldn't stay still. I stopped the car again, this time slower, more controlled. I got out without rushing, walked toward it, and as I got closer, I noticed something strange in the sand around it. Footprints, many, going in circles, around the pole, like people had been standing here for a long time, unsure what they were looking at, or afraid to leave. I crouched down, ran my fingers lightly over the sand. Still warm, still soft, recent. That meant someone had been here, recently, but there was no road noise, no engine sounds, no tire marks. Only footprints. And then I heard it, a whisper, not from the radio, not from the wind, from behind me. Don't look too long. I froze, slowly turned my head. Nothing there, but the air felt different again, heavier, like it had gained weight. I stood up slowly and turned back to the marker base. And that's when I saw something I didn't notice before. A reflection, not in glass, not in metal, but in the sand itself. The shape of a mile marker, perfect, standing tall, right where the real one wasn't. I stepped back instantly, and the reflection followed my movement, not delayed, not mirrored, matched. I stumbled back toward the car. My breathing got faster, because I understood something I didn't want to understand. The mile marker wasn't disappearing. It was moving between states, between visible and invisible. Between here and somewhere else. I got inside the car quickly, shut the door, locked it, started the engine, and just as I pulled forward again, the radio came alive one more time. But this time, the voice was different, not older, Not calm, almost like it was reading from a script it didn't fully understand. Unit 14, a pause, long. Then, welcome back to mile 91. My headlights flickered, and for 1 second, just one, the road ahead split into 2 lanes. One real, one not, and both of them had a mile marker standing at the end. The call came in while I was still staring at the split road. 2 lanes, 2 mile markers, both showing 91 like the number couldn't decide where it belonged. Then the radio cracked violently. Not a normal static burst. Something sharper, like metal scraping inside my ear. Unit 14 respond. I didn't answer right away, because I could still see both versions of the highway in front of me, like reality hadn't fully chosen one shape yet. Then the voice came again. Dispatch, but slower than usual. Heavier. We've got a driver report. Says he was pulled over twice on Route 91 by the same unit number. My grip tightened. Twice, same road, same night, same unit. That shouldn't even be possible. Send him to the station. I said quickly, trying to sound normal. A pause. Then dispatch replied, he's already here. My stomach dropped before my brain caught up because I hadn't passed a checkpoint since mile 90. I hadn't seen any exit. No service road. Nothing. And yet someone was already reporting something about me. That's when I saw the headlights behind me again. Not the truck this time. A sedan. Old model. Hazard lights blinking like it was nervous. It followed me at a distance for a few seconds, then slowly pulled ahead, like it knew where it was going, like it had done this before. I kept driving until I saw a small turnout point ahead. A roadside checkpoint structure. Temporary light pole. Cone barriers. A place that definitely wasn't on my route sheet earlier, but now was just there, as if it had always been there. The sedan pulled in first. I followed. My instinct screamed not to stop, but my job screamed louder. I parked, got out. Cold air again. Too sharp, too clean. A man was already standing near the sedan, mid-30s maybe, shaking slightly, not from cold, from something else. He looked at me immediately, like he had been waiting for me specifically. You're him, he said. I frowned. I'm who? He stepped closer. His voice dropped. The officer who stopped me. My pulse jumped slightly. I've never seen you before. He shook his head fast. No, you did. Twice. That word again. Twice. I looked at his car. Fresh dust on the hood. Scratches near the side mirror, like it had been dragged slightly off the road. What are you talking about? I asked. He pointed back toward the highway. His hand was shaking harder now. First time, you were normal, just a routine stop. You checked my license, asked where I was going. I listened carefully, because something in his tone felt too precise to be made up. Second time, he continued, swallowing hard. You weren't the same. That hit me wrong. What do you mean not the same? He hesitated, like he didn't want to say it out loud. Then finally, you didn't speak at first. You just stood outside my window, watching me. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. That's not possible, I said quickly. He nodded like he expected that answer. That's what I told myself too. The wind shifted slightly, and suddenly I noticed something I hadn't before. The roadside checkpoint wasn't real infrastructure. It looked temporary, too clean in some places, too faded in others, like it had been assembled from different timelines. I walked closer to him. Tell me exactly what happened, I said. He exhaled shakily. The first stop felt normal. You were polite, quiet. You checked my papers, told me to drive safe. Then I left. He paused. His eyes lowered. 10 minutes later, I saw your patrol car again. My chest tightened slightly. That doesn't happen on this road, I said. He looked up immediately. That's what I thought too. Silence stretched between us. Only the distant hum of my engine behind me. Then he continued. You were parked on the shoulder. Same spot. Same lights. Same car. I frowned harder. And you stopped again? He nodded. I thought maybe I forgot something. Or you were doing a follow-up check. His voice dropped lower. But this time, you didn't look like the first officer. I felt something shift inside my stomach. Not fear exactly, more like recognition of a pattern I didn't want to understand. What did I look like? I asked carefully. He hesitated, then said it anyway, like you didn't recognize me. That line hit harder than I expected, because I suddenly remembered the mirror earlier, the reflection that didn't match my eyes. I swallowed. Keep going, I said. He nodded. Second stop, you asked me the same questions, but wrong, like you were repeating a script. And then he stopped, his hands clenched. And then what? I pressed. His voice dropped to almost nothing. You told me I had already been stopped once, but you didn't say it like a question. You said it like a fact you were trying to confirm. A cold silence followed. The desert suddenly felt too wide around us, too open. I glanced back at my patrol car, and for a split second, I thought I saw someone sitting inside it. Not me, another silhouette, still watching us through the windshield. I blinked. It was gone. The driver stepped closer again. I tried to explain it to you, he said, but you just stared at me like I was a problem. My throat felt dry. And then I asked. His voice broke slightly. And then you said something I didn't understand. A pause, long enough that the wind filled it. What did I say? I asked quietly. He looked me directly in the eyes. You said, "You're not the first one to forget the first stop." My stomach dropped completely, because I had never said that. At least, I didn't think I had. I stepped back slightly. The ground under my boots felt less solid now, less real. After that, he continued, "You walked back to your car, and I left. But when I checked my rear-view mirror," he stopped, his face tightened. "You were behind me again." My mind struggled to process that. "That's impossible," I said. He shook his head quickly. "I know, but I saw you." The wind suddenly got stronger, and for a second, I thought I heard another engine somewhere far away. But there was no road in that direction, only desert, only dark. I turned slightly toward my patrol car and noticed something small. The driver door wasn't fully closed. I was sure I had shut it. I walked slowly toward it. The man didn't follow. He just watched. I reached the door, pushed it gently. It closed fully with a soft click. But then, inside the window reflection, I saw my own face, looking back at me. But it wasn't matching my movement. My reflection was still standing, not blinking, not breathing, just watching. I stepped back instantly. Heart rate spiked. The driver behind me spoke again. After the second stop, he said quietly, "You didn't pull me over again." I turned slightly. "What do you mean?" His voice dropped. "You just followed me for a while, like you were making sure I didn't disappear." My chest tightened, and then I asked. He hesitated. Then I reached the gas station up the road. I nodded slowly. "That's where you are now." He shook his head immediately. "No." My stomach dropped again. I never made it to a gas station. Silence. Heavy. Unnatural. He looked back at the highway, his voice barely audible now. "I stopped here because I thought I lost you." I felt my pulse in my ears. "Lost me?" I asked. He looked back at me slowly. "That's the thing," he said. "You were the one who disappeared first." A cold wave hit my spine. Before I could respond, my radio clicked again. But this time, no voice. Only a short burst of static. And then, a new transmission came through. "Clear. Too clear. Unit 14 confirmed second stop completed." My blood ran cold, because I hadn't reported anything. I hadn't even spoken on radio since mile 90. The driver took a step back now. His face changed. Not fear, recognition. Like he finally understood something he didn't want to. "You see it too now, don't you?" he whispered. I didn't answer, because my radio clicked again, and the same calm voice returned. But this time it wasn't asking. It was stating, "Second stop logged." A pause. Then, "Proceed to next unit interaction." The wind stopped completely, and somewhere behind me, I heard a patrol car door close. Slowly, the footsteps started again the moment I stopped trusting the radio. Not loud, not fast, just patient. like something outside had all the time in the world to finish circling my car. I sat inside the patrol unit, engine idling low, headlights cutting into the desert emptiness. But this time, the light felt weaker. Not in brightness, but in reach. Like the darkness had learned how far it could stand without being seen. Then, step, a soft crunch in the gravel outside my left door. I turned my head instantly. Nothing, just empty ground glowing pale under the headlights. I exhaled slowly, trying to convince myself it was a driver from earlier. Maybe he was still nearby. Maybe he was messing with me without realizing it. Then the sound came again. Step, pause, step, but now it was behind the car. I turned my head the other way. Still nothing. No shadow, no movement, no shape crossing the beam of light. Just the sound of someone walking in a circle around me. Slow, deliberate, like they were studying the car from every angle. My hand went to the radio. I didn't even think. Dispatch! I've got possible. Static cut me off instantly. Not normal static. This was layered, like multiple radios bleeding into each other. And underneath it, breathing. Close. Too close. I froze. The breathing wasn't on the radio anymore. It felt like it was inside the cabin. I slowly turned my head toward the passenger seat. Empty, but the air there felt occupied, like someone had just leaned forward and left the space behind. Then, another step outside, this time on the right side. I snapped my head that way. Nothing. My throat tightened. Okay, I whispered. Okay, this is not real. But my voice didn't sound confident. It sounded like I was asking permission from the dark. I turned off the engine. Instant silence hit, like a weight dropping on my chest. No hum, no vibration, just the desert and me, and the footsteps kept going. Now I couldn't even tell where they were coming from. Left, right, behind, in front, like the sound had stopped respecting direction. I slowly opened the door. Cold air rushed in immediately, sharper than before. I stepped out. Boots hit gravel. The sound felt too loud in the silence. I scanned the ground. Nothing. No tracks. No prints. Just smooth dirt that should have shown something if anything had been walking around here. I walked a few steps forward, sweeping my flashlight across the ground. The beam cut through the dark and revealed nothing, but the footsteps didn't stop. Now they were closer, right beside me. I turned sharply. Still nothing, but I saw something that made my chest tighten. The headlights of my own patrol car were flickering slightly, not broken, not dead, just unstable. Like something was standing in front of them, blocking them without having a body. I took a slow step back toward the car, and then I noticed it, the dust on the hood. It was shifting, not blowing, not moving with wind, but changing shape, like something unseen had brushed against it. I reached the driver door quickly, opened it, sat inside, locked it immediately. My breathing was louder now, too loud. The footsteps paused. Complete silence followed. I waited. 5 seconds. 10. Nothing. Then, a single knock. Passenger side window. Soft. Careful. Like someone testing if I was still inside. My body went rigid. I turned my head slowly. Nothing outside. Just the reflection of the desert in the glass. But my reflection wasn't looking at me. It was staring slightly downward at something beside the car. I didn't move. The knock came again. Same spot, same softness. This time I spoke. Who's there? My voice cracked slightly. No answer, but the radio turned on by itself. No static, just clean audio, and a voice I had never heard before. Not the dispatcher, not the old patrolman, not the driver from earlier. This one sounded calm. Too calm. Unit 14, you are not supposed to exit the vehicle. My stomach tightened instantly. I didn't exit, I said quickly. A pause. Then, you already did. My eyes flicked to the mirrors instantly. Rear view, empty. Side mirrors, empty. But the passenger seat reflection showed something sitting there, not fully formed, just a shape, like a person remembered wrong. I slammed my hand on the radio. Identify yourself. Silence. Then the voice returned, softer now. You are recording movement where there is none. My breathing got heavier. That's not possible, I whispered. A slight delay. Then, correct. That one word hit harder than anything else, because it wasn't denying me. It was agreeing with me. I looked outside again, slowly, through the windshield. The headlights were still on, but now they were illuminating something faint in the dust. Circles, footprints, around the car, perfect loops, overlapping paths. Like something had walked around me so many times the ground started forgetting where it began. My chest tightened. I opened the door slightly. Cold air rushing again. The footsteps returned instantly, but now they were inside the pattern of light, visible in the dust. But still, nothing was there. I stepped out halfway. My boots hit the ground again. The footprints reacted. They shifted, like they were adjusting to my movement, like they were aware I was watching. My voice came out low. This is not real. The wind picked up slightly, and for a moment, I thought I heard laughter, not from outside, not from the radio, from the space between them. Then, the headlights dimmed suddenly, not off, just weaker, like something had stepped between me and reality itself. And in that fading light, I saw it, a shape, not standing, not walking, but circling, always just at the edge of visibility, never fully entering the beam. I stepped back into the car instantly. Door slammed, locked, breathing fast now. The radio clicked again. Same voice. You are repeating observation cycles. My hand shook slightly. What does that mean? I asked. A pause. Then, you are confirming the existence of something by watching it long enough. My stomach dropped. That doesn't make sense. A softer reply. It does to the highway. The headlights flickered again, and the footsteps stopped. Completely. For the first time, silence returned. Heavy. Final. Too clean. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Just waited. Then, a slow tap on the roof. Above me. 1, 2, 3. Not random. Measured. Like someone counting. I froze. My eyes lifted slowly toward the ceiling of the car. Nothing visible, but the metal above my head felt different, like pressure had gathered there, like something was sitting on top of the patrol unit, waiting for me to acknowledge it. The radio whispered one last time, not loud, almost gentle, "Stop observing." And then the footsteps returned, inside the car this time, right beside my seat. The radio wouldn't stop repeating the same words. Unit 14, proceed to mile 91. But I wasn't on the road anymore. I wasn't even sure I was still in the same version of the highway. The engine idled, but the sound felt distant now, like it belonged to someone else sitting in my seat, outside the windshield. The desert looked wrong. Not darker, not brighter, just rearranged, like someone had taken the same scene and shifted it slightly out of place. Then I saw it, a road sign ahead. Faded yellow metal, bent at the top like it had been hit years ago. It wasn't there before. I'm sure of it. I rolled forward slowly, my headlights catching the text. Diversion ahead, Route 91 closed section. My throat tightened instantly. Closed section. That wasn't on any briefing sheet. That wasn't on any map I had been given. I stopped the car, just stared at it, because something about the sign didn't feel official. It felt buried, like it had been left here to be forgotten. The radio crackled again. Not the calm voice this time. Not dispatch. The older patrolman. And he sounded different now. Less human. More tired. You found it, he said. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. Found what? I asked. A long pause followed. Then, the part of the highway they erased. I swallowed hard. Erased by who? No answer at first. Just static. Then his voice came back, lower, by people who didn't want to stay on record. The wind outside picked up slightly, pushing dust across the road like something was trying to hide tracks. I stepped out of the car, slowly, carefully. The ground here felt different under my boots, less solid, like the asphalt had been laid over something softer underneath. I walked toward the sign. And that's when I noticed the second layer beneath it. Another sign, half buried, older, rust eating through the edges. I crouched down and wiped sand off it, and my stomach dropped. It didn't say diversion. It said, accident zone, do not enter. Contaminated area. My breath stopped for a second. Contaminated. Not road hazard. Not construction. Contaminated. I stepped back slightly, and the radio clicked again. This time, a new voice came through. Younger. Shaking. Unit 14. If you're near mile 91, do not proceed further. My eyes narrowed. Who is this? I asked. A pause. Then, former dispatch control. I'm not supposed to be on this channel. My chest tightened. What do you mean, former? A shaky breath came through the speaker. Because that section of highway doesn't exist anymore. I looked back at the road. It looked normal, but now I wasn't trusting normal anymore. Explain, I said. The voice hesitated, then spoke faster. There was an accident site. Years ago. Massive collision. Tanker truck. Multiple patrol units. They tried to seal it off, reroute traffic, erase the section completely from maps. I felt a cold pressure build in my chest. And I asked quietly. The voice lowered, but the reports never stopped. Silence. Even the wind seemed to slow. What reports? I asked. A pause. Then the worst answer I could have heard. Officer activity reports. My throat went dry instantly. That doesn't make sense, I said. The voice cracked slightly. That's what we said too. But units kept logging stops. Speed checks. Interactions. Even accident responses. I turned slowly toward my patrol car, like it might explain itself. It didn't. The headlights just hummed quietly against the dark. The voice continued. But no one was assigned to that section anymore. My stomach dropped. No one. I repeated. No, he said. That part of Route 91 was removed from active duty records. A long pause followed. Then he said something that made my hands go cold. Except someone kept patrolling it. I didn't speak, because I already knew what he was going to say next. And I didn't want to hear it. The radio voice softened. And the logs match your unit number. Everything in me went still. I looked at my patrol car again. The number on the side. Unit 14. Same number that I've been calling dispatch all night. Same number that shouldn't be here. My breathing got uneven. That's impossible, I said quietly. The voice didn't argue, just whispered. We thought so too. A sudden gust of wind pushed through the highway, and for a moment, the dust lifted in a strange shape, like a road underneath the road. A second outline of asphalt, broken, burned, half swallowed by sand. I stepped closer without meaning to. The ground felt colder now, like I was standing over something that never healed. And then I saw it, scratches in the metal pole of the sign. Not random, not damage. Letters, carved repeatedly. Same phrase, over and over. Do not stop here. My pulse rose sharply. I backed away. The radio crackled again, but this time the voice was different. Calm again. Too calm. Unit 14, confirmed visual on mile 91 boundary. I looked around slowly. There was no boundary, no line, no fence, just road. But then I saw it. The air ahead of me looked heavier, like heat rising from asphalt, except there was no sun strong enough to cause it. I stepped back toward my car, and the moment my boot touched the ground near it, the sound changed. Not wind, not engine, something deeper, like a distant crash replaying itself under the earth. A low metallic echo. I froze. The radio spoke again. You are now approaching the seal zone. I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure I was supposed to. The wind died completely. Everything went still. And then I saw movement in the reflection of my windshield. Not behind me. Ahead. A faint flicker of lights. Emergency lights. Red and blue. But broken. Stuttering. Like an old memory trying to restart. I turned slowly. And for the first time all night, I saw it. Not the desert. Not the road. Something layered underneath it. A second highway. Collapsed. Burned. Twisted metal poles. Sticking out of the ground like bones. Cars half buried. flipped upside down in positions that made no sense, and patrol lights still faintly blinking from vehicles that should not have power anymore. My breath caught in my throat. I stepped back instinctively. An illusion shifted. Gone. Just desert again. Just silence. But my brain couldn't unsee it. I looked at the radio. My hand trembled slightly. Why am I seeing this? I asked. A pause. Then the calm voice answered. Because you're inside it now. My chest tightened hard. What do you mean inside it? Another pause. Longer this time. Then, the reroute didn't move the road. My stomach dropped. It moved the record of where the road is supposed to be. I turned toward the sign again. It felt closer now. Even though I hadn't moved, the letters on it seemed darker, like they were being rewritten in real time. The voice continued. And some units never left the original route. Silence. Then a final line. They just kept reporting from it. My breathing stopped for a second. I looked at my patrol car again. Unit 14. The number suddenly felt heavier, like it didn't belong to me, like it had been assigned long before I ever got here. The radio clicked one more time, and the voice changed again. This time, it sounded like me, but older, tired, broken. Unit 14, confirmed status at mile 91. I froze, because I hadn't spoken, but the radio was already recording an answer, and it wasn't mine. The radio screamed my name at 3:33 a.m., not softly, not like a call, like something forcing its way through the speaker just to say it. Unit 14, Unit 14, do you copy? My hand froze halfway to the dashboard, because I hadn't checked in, and nobody should have known I was on this frequency yet. The highway in front of me was empty, stretching into black desert, like it had no end and no memory of ever being traveled. I leaned closer to the radio. Dispatch, confirmed transmission. I said. Only static answered at first. Then the voice came back. Broken. Wet, like it was coming from inside water. Unit 14, why did you leave mile 91? My stomach tightened instantly. I glanced at the road ahead. Nothing had changed. Just darkness. Just distance. Just silence pretending to be normal. But that question didn't feel normal. It felt personal. Like someone had watched me do something I didn't remember doing. I cleared my throat. I haven't reached mile 91 yet. I said slowly. A pause followed. Too long. Then the radio crackled again, and a second voice came through. Not dispatch. Not anyone I recognized. Older. Calm. Almost bored. You already passed it. My grip on the wheel tightened. That's impossible. I said immediately. No answer. Just that soft static breathing again. I slowed the car without thinking. The tires rolled across the asphalt louder now, like the road itself was paying attention. I checked my mirrors. Empty. Behind me. Just a straight stretch of highway disappearing into darkness. But something felt wrong about the space behind me. Not what I saw. What I didn't see. No mile markers. None. I frowned. I was sure I had passed at least one. Maybe two. But the road numbers in my head weren't matching what I remembered. I tapped the dashboard screen. Route display flickered for a second, then updated. Route 91. Normal. Clean. Except the distance markers didn't align. There was a gap, a missing segment, like something had been cut out of the highway and stitched back together wrong. The radio clicked again. The younger voice returned. Urgent this time. Unit 14, confirmed visual on roadside marker. I looked forward. There's nothing here, I replied. A pause. Then, that's what we're afraid of. My throat tightened slightly. Afraid of what? I asked. Static swallowed the answer. For a few seconds, only engine noise filled the cabin. Then I saw it. A faint flicker on the right side of the road, like a reflection catching light. I slowed down instinctively. My headlights swept across the shoulder. And there it was. A mile marker. White pole. Faded number plate. But something about it fell off immediately. It wasn't planted straight. It leaned slightly toward the road, like it had been pulled from the ground recently or pushed into place too fast. I pulled over. My tires crunched on gravel. The moment I stopped, The radio went silent. Not even static. Just dead air. That silence made my chest feel heavier. I opened the door slowly. Cold desert air rushed in. Dry. Sharp. Too still. I stepped out. The wind wasn't moving. That was the first thing I noticed. Not even a whisper. I walked toward the marker. Every step sounded too loud, like I was disturbing something that wanted to stay quiet. When I reached it, I looked up at the number plate. My stomach dropped slightly. So I hadn't been imagining it. I exhaled slowly. Okay, I muttered, just a marker. But then I noticed a second detail. Scratches. Deep grooves carved into the metal. Not random. Words. Repeated over and over. Do not stop. Do not stop. Do not stop. I stepped back slightly. My hand instinctively moved toward my radio. But before I touched it, a sound came from behind me. Soft. A footstep. I turned instantly. Nothing. Just my patrol car sitting alone on the roadside. But the gravel near the rear tire had shifted slightly. Fresh impression. Like someone had just stepped there. My breath slowed. I scanned the area carefully. Still nothing. Then another sound. This time on the opposite side. I turned again. Empty. But now I noticed something worse. The footprints weren't appearing in front of me. They were forming in real time behind me. Circling. Slow. Patient. Around my car. I stepped backward toward the driver door. My pulse picked up. This is not real, I whispered. The radio in the car flickered on by itself. No button press. No trigger. Just alive again. And the older voice returned. Closer this time. You're standing on it. I froze. Standing on what? I asked. A pause. Then, on what's left of mile 91. My eyes dropped to the ground immediately. Nothing unusual. Just gravel. Dust. Asphalt. But then I noticed the texture. The road here wasn't smooth. It was layered, like multiple roads had been built on top of each other. Old paint lines faintly visible under the surface. Faded markings that didn't belong to this version of the highway. My throat went dry. What happened here? I asked quietly. The voice didn't answer right away. When it came back, it sounded tired. There was an accident site, it said. Years ago, a full section collapse. Tanker explosion. Multiple patrol units on scene. I swallowed, and silence stretched. Then, they never fully cleared it. A gust of wind finally moved through the desert, but it felt wrong, like it didn't belong to the air. It passed through the marker, and for a split second, the pole flickered. Not bent, not moved, flickered, like it wasn't fully real. My chest tightened. I stepped closer again, and this time I noticed something new. At the base of the pole, half buried in sand, a second sign, old, rust-covered, almost invisible. I crouched down slowly, wiped it clean with my hand, and the moment I saw the text, my stomach dropped completely. Crash Zone 91, entry restricted, active scene. Active scene. My mind stopped for a second. I looked back at the highway. It looked normal, but now I couldn't trust normal anymore. The radio crackled violently. The younger voice again. Panic now. Unit 14, get back in your vehicle immediately. I stood up fast. What is this place? I asked. The voice broke slightly. It's not supposed to be accessible anymore. I frowned. Then why am I here? A long pause. Then the answer came, and it didn't sound like a theory. It sounded like a warning that had already failed, because something is still reporting from it. My blood ran cold. I turned toward my patrol car, and for the first time, I noticed a radio inside. It wasn't just transmitting. It was receiving, constantly. Signals I wasn't sending. Logs I wasn't creating. Responses I hadn't spoken. I walked slowly toward the driver door, each step heavier than the last. And as I reached for the handle, the radio spoke again. But this time, the voice was mine, except I didn't say it. It said, Unit 14 confirming presence at mile 91. My hand froze midair, because the system wasn't asking anymore. It was recording. The radio didn't just crackle this time. It answered me. Right after I saw my own voice on the system, the channel went completely silent for 3 seconds. No static, no wind noise, no engine hum. Just dead air that felt like the highway was holding its breath. Then, officer number 217 reporting in. I froze. My hand stayed on the radio dial, but I didn't turn it, because that call sign shouldn't exist anymore. Not on this network. Not on this shift. Not on any live roster I had ever seen. Still, I forced my voice out. Dispatch. Repeat last transmission. A pause followed. Too clean. Too controlled. Then the voice came back again. Same words. Slower this time. Like it was remembering how to speak. Officer number 217 reporting in. My throat tightened. I glanced at the dashboard clock. 3:41 a.m. The highway ahead looked normal, but now normal didn't mean anything to me anymore, because normal doesn't repeat dead names. I swallowed hard. This is Unit 14, I said carefully. Identify yourself. A faint sound came through the radio. Not static. Footsteps. Metallic, like boots hitting a hollow surface. Then the voice answered. I am already identified. I leaned back slightly in my seat. My pulse started building in my ears. That call sign belongs to a deceased officer, I said. Silence again. Long enough for my mind to start doubting itself. Then, you are correct. That should have ended it. But it didn't, because the voice continued right after that. But I am still on Route 6. My fingers tightened around the steering wheel. Route 6. That wasn't even my patrol zone. Different district. Different map grid. Different everything. I frowned. You're not on Route 6, I said. This is Route 91. A pause. Then something strange happened. The radio didn't argue. It just corrected me. You are overlapping. My stomach dropped slightly. Overlapping what? I asked. No answer. Instead, the radio hissed softly, like a breath passing through broken glass. Then a second sound came through. A siren. Far away. Muted, but moving. Left to right. Like a patrol unit, passing through a road I couldn't see. I looked out through the windshield. Nothing. Just empty highway. But the siren kept moving. Not forward. Not backward. Sideways. Like it was traveling through space that didn't match mine. I turned the radio volume down for a second, then back up. The siren was gone. Only the voice remained. Still calm. Still wrong. Unit 14, it said, you are currently receiving cross-route transmission. My eyes narrowed. Cross-route? That wasn't a standard term. At least not in anything I had been trained on. I leaned forward slightly. Explain, I said. A pause followed. Then the voice changed tone slightly. Not more human, just more tired. 2 patrol routes occupy the same segment of road. I blinked. That's impossible. No, it replied softly. It is recorded. A cold feeling started building in my chest. I looked down at my dashboard GPS. Route 91 still displayed. But now I noticed something small. A faint second line underneath it. Flickering. Route 6. It wasn't fully there. Just bleeding through. Like 2 maps were fighting for the same screen. My breathing slowed. I tapped the screen. It lagged. Then refreshed. Route 91 only. I exhaled slightly. But then the radio spoke again. And this time the voice sounded closer. Like it wasn't coming from the speaker anymore. Like it was sitting in the passenger seat. You should not be alone on this stretch. I turned my head instantly. Empty seat. But the seatbelt was slightly moved. As if someone had just leaned back. My stomach tightened. I spoke quietly. Where are you? I asked. A pause. Then, I am still patrolling Route 6. Static followed. But it wasn't random static this time. It had rhythm. Like tire noise. Like movement. Then a new voice broke through underneath it. Different officer. Panicked. You need to close the loop. Repeat. You need to close the loop. Then cut off. Silence again. My hands started sweating slightly now, because I was no longer sure what I was listening to, or what was listening to me. I slowed the car slightly. The road ahead stretched empty, but now it didn't feel empty. It felt layered, like I was driving on top of something else. Something older. Something buried. The radio clicked again. Officer number 217 returned. Calm again. Too calm. You are near the intersection point, it said. I frowned. What intersection point? A pause. Then, where Route 6 was sealed beneath Route 91. My throat went dry. That didn't sound like an accident report. That sounded like something hidden on purpose. I glanced at the roadside markers again. They looked normal, but now I couldn't trust their position. One of them flickered in my peripheral vision, just for a second, like it was slightly out of sync with reality. I blinked. It was gone. My jaw tightened. This is dispatch interference. I said firmly into radio. Confirm unit status of officer number 217. A long silence followed. Then the voice answered, and for the first time, it didn't sound like it was speaking from memory. It sounded like it was speaking from inside a place it still remembered. Officer number 217 did not exit Route 6. My grip tightened. Explain, I said again. The answer came slower this time. Carefully chosen words. Route 6 was closed after a multi-unit collision. I nodded slightly. That made sense. That was normal procedure. But then it added something else. And the patrol units that responded were never fully logged out. My stomach sank slightly. Never logged out? I repeated. Yes, it said. Their final transmissions continued looping on adjacent frequencies. A chill ran through me. I looked at my radio again. The display flickered. For half a second, I saw another frequency underneath mine. A different channel. Active. I blinked. It was gone. The voice returned. You are hearing one of them now. My breathing slowed. Which one? I asked. A pause. Then, officer number 217. Silence hit instantly after that. Not empty silence. Heavy silence. Like something had just stepped closer. I checked the mirrors again. Left, right, behind. Nothing visible. But the feeling of being followed didn't leave. It actually grew stronger. I exhaled slowly. This is not real, I whispered. The radio responded immediately. It is recorded. That one line didn't just answer me. It corrected me. I tightened my jaw. I want confirmation from dispatch. I said, no answer. I tried again. Dispatch, confirm crossroute anomaly. Still nothing. Then a different sound came through. Not voice, not static. A door closing. Metallic. Heavy, followed by footsteps. Slow, inside the radio feed. I froze, because now it didn't sound like communication anymore. It sounded like proximity. Like someone walking closer to a microphone they shouldn't have access to. Then the voice returned, and it sounded closer than ever. Unit 14, I didn't respond, because something in me knew responding would make it worse. A pause. Then, you are now on Route 6. My breath caught instantly. I looked outside. The road hadn't changed, but something felt wrong with perspective. The lines on the asphalt seemed slightly misaligned, like the highway had rotated by a few degrees without moving. I slowed down, checked the GPS again. It flickered. For 1 second, Route 6 appeared directly under Route 91, perfectly aligned, stacked, then gone again. I felt my pulse in my throat now. What is happening to the road? I asked quietly. The voice answered without hesitation. It is remembering itself. That didn't help. That made it worse. I leaned back in my seat slowly. The cabin felt tighter now, like the space inside the car had reduced slightly. I glanced at the passenger seat again. The seatbelt had moved further. Not much, but enough to notice, as if someone had just shifted position. I swallowed hard. Officer number 217, I said carefully, state your current visual surroundings. A pause. Then the answer came, and it didn't feel like imagination. It felt like description. I see burned asphalt, flashing lights, vehicles upside down. Your unit is parked beside mine. My blood went cold instantly. I looked forward. Nothing there. But my hands were slightly trembling now. I forced my voice steady. There is no other unit here. Silence. Then, You are not looking at the same layer. My eyes narrowed slightly. Layer. That word again. Then the radio added softly. I can see you, Unit 14. My breathing stopped for half a second. And you are repeating my last position. A chill ran through me, because suddenly I remembered something I hadn't noticed before. Every time I stopped, the radio stopped too. Every time I moved, it responded, like it was mirroring me, or tracking me, or reliving me. The voice spoke again, and this time it sounded almost disappointed. You should not have entered overlap range. I gripped the wheel tighter. Then how do I get out? I asked. A pause. Longer this time. Then the answer came. Soft. Final. You do not leave overlap. A beat. You complete it. The radio went silent again, but the road ahead just shifted slightly in the headlights, and for the first time, I saw another patrol car driving parallel to mine, just out of sync. Same speed, same direction, same unit number on the door. Unit 14. The radio went completely silent after I saw the other patrol car. Not static, not interference, just erased sound, like the highway itself had decided I didn't need to hear anything anymore. I kept driving beside it. That impossible second Unit 14. Same speed, same motion, same exact rhythm as my steering wheel. But every time I looked directly at it, it blurred, like my eyes refused to keep it stable. Then my radio cracked again. Hard, almost like something struck it from the inside. Dispatch confirms record request received. I blinked. Record request? I didn't send anything. My fingers weren't even on the controls. I swallowed slowly. Dispatch, what record request? I asked. A pause followed. Too long. Then the voice came back. Calm. Professional. Too normal for what was happening. Request for officer number 217 file access. My stomach tightened instantly. I turned the volume down slightly, then up again, just to make sure I wasn't imagining it. Why would I request that file? I asked. No answer at first. Instead, I heard typing, keyboard sounds. Fast, urgent, like someone was digging through something they shouldn't touch. Then, access granted. My throat went dry. Wait, I said quickly. Who granted access? Silence. Then, Central Archive. I frowned. There is no central archive for deceased field units during active shift communication. Another pause. Then the voice answered. And this time, it sounded uncertain. Correct. That one word hit harder than it should have. Because systems don't sound uncertain. People do. I slowed the car slightly. The second patrol unit beside me also slowed. Exactly in sync. I exhaled slowly. This is not real, I whispered again. The radio responded immediately. It is documented. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. Then the radio speaker shifted tone. A new voice entered the channel. Younger, tense, like someone reading something they didn't want to believe. Officer designation, number 217. My hands tightened on the wheel. I didn't interrupt. I waited, because something about this felt like it was already in motion, and stopping it would make it worse. The voice continued. Status, deceased. My breath caught slightly. I already knew that part, but hearing it confirmed made it heavier. Then came the next line, and my stomach dropped. Cause of termination. Route 91 collision event. My eyes flicked forward. The road didn't change, but the meaning of it did. The voice kept going. Date. 5 years, 2 months, 17 days ago. I swallowed hard. That was too precise. Too exact. Then, location, mile 91 corridor. My grip tightened instantly. Mile 91 again. Always mile 91. The radio paused. Then another line appeared, and this one made the air inside my car feel colder. Unit assignment overlap detected. I frowned. Overlap? I repeated quietly. The voice continued. Multiple active transmissions detected under designation Unit 14. My stomach tightened. I looked again at the second patrol car beside me. It was still there, still moving, still perfectly aligned. But now it didn't feel like a second vehicle. It felt like a recording that refused to stop playing. The radio clicked again, and for the first time, I heard something new in the background of the audio. Sirens, far away, but not moving through space, moving through layers, like they were coming from a different version of the same road. Then the archive voice spoke again. This file should not be accessible during live patrol conditions. A pause. Then, but it is currently being accessed. My throat tightened. I didn't request it. I said firmly, no response. Just the sound of typing again. Faster now, almost panicked. Then the voice returned, and it sounded closer, like it had moved nearer to the speaker. Access source traced. My heart rate picked up slightly. Where is it coming from? I asked. A long pause followed. Too long. Then the answer came, and it didn't feel like data anymore. It felt like accusation. You're a unit. Silence hit instantly, not just in the radio. In the car, even the engine felt quieter, like everything was listening. I looked at the dashboard screen. The system logs were opening by themselves. Lines of text appeared rapidly. Files I had never seen. Transmission logs. Location reports. Stop confirmations. All under my unit number. Unit 14. But something was wrong. The timestamps. They didn't match my shift. Some were older. Some were newer. Some were overlapping. Like my patrol car was existing in multiple nights at the same time. I leaned closer. My voice dropped. This is impossible, I said. The archive voice answered immediately. You are currently listed in 2 active timelines. My chest tightened hard. What does that mean? I asked. No response at first. Then, 1 timeline is live. A pause. 1 timeline is retained. My mind struggled to process that. Retained? What did that even mean? Then I noticed something outside again. The second patrol unit beside me wasn't just matching my speed anymore. It was slightly ahead now, just a few meters. I didn't remember it overtaking me. I frowned. I checked the speedometer. Normal. I sped up slightly. The other unit sped up too. Still ahead. Still perfectly aligned with the road. But now I noticed something strange. Its headlights weren't illuminating the road properly. They were flickering. Not broken. Not damaged. But inconsistent. Like the light didn't fully belong to this environment. The radio spoke again. The archive voice returned. Calmer now. Almost resigned. Officer number 217 was not fully extracted from Route 6 incident zone. My eyes narrowed slightly. Extracted? I repeated. Yes. A pause. Then, his transmission loop persisted after physical termination. My stomach tightened. Meaning what exactly? I asked. The answer came slowly, carefully, like it didn't want to explain too much. His unit continued reporting after his death. Silence followed. Then another line appeared, and was later absorbed into overlapping patrol frequency structure. I blinked slowly. Absorbed? I repeated. The radio didn't respond immediately. Then, yes. A long pause. Then the final line came, and it felt heavier than everything before it. Unit 14 is currently receiving that loop. My breath stopped for half a second. I looked again at the second patrol car. It was still there, still moving. But now I noticed something new. The driver's silhouette inside, it wasn't moving naturally. It was repeating the same motion, over and over, like a recording stuck in a frame. Turn wheel, look forward. Turn wheel, look forward. Exactly matching me, but delayed by a fraction of a second. I felt my chest tighten. This isn't another vehicle. I whispered. The radio answered softly. No. A pause. Then, it is your recorded counterpart. My throat went dry instantly. I pressed harder on the accelerator. The engine responded. So did the other unit. Still matching. Still there. But now I noticed something worse. Every movement I made, it repeated after delay. Like I was no longer driving alone. I was being replayed. The archive voice returned one last time. And it sounded almost human now. Tired. Careful. Unit 14. It said, "You are not the original transmission." I frowned slightly. What does that mean? I asked quietly. No immediate answer. Then, you are the echo. A cold silence filled the car. The second patrol unit ahead flickered slightly, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. The number on its door wasn't just matching mine. It was slightly older, faded, like it had been on the road longer than I had. Then the radio clicked once more, and the final line came through. Officer number 217 file has been fully integrated. My stomach dropped instantly. Integrated into what? I asked quickly. Silence. Then the answer came, and it didn't sound like a system anymore. It sounded like something remembering itself. Route 91 continuity layer. The second patrol car suddenly shifted lanes. Not turning, not signaling, just sliding out of sync with the road. And for a brief moment, as I watched it drift, I realized something terrifying. It wasn't ahead of me anymore. It was behind me, and I never saw it turn around. The warning came before the crash. That was the part one couldn't shake. Not after, not during, before. The radio didn't scream. It didn't glitch. It didn't even sound broken. It sounded certain. Reduced speed. Collision ahead on Route 91, mile 93. I hit the brakes instantly. My tires hissed against the asphalt. The highway in front of me looked completely normal. Empty. Flat. Dead quiet. No collision. I muttered under my breath, but I still slowed down, because the voice didn't sound like it was guessing. It sounded like it had already seen it happen. Then the radio clicked again, and another voice came through. Not dispatch, not officer number 217. Something new, something calmer. Unit 14, you are arriving early. My grip tightened on the wheel. Early for what? I asked. No answer at first. Just soft static. Then impact sequence. I frowned. My eyes scanned the road ahead again. Nothing. No cars. No movement. Just desert highway stretching into black distance. But my chest was tightening anyway, because the word impact didn't leave my mind. I slowed the car more. The dashboard clock flickered for half a second. 3:52 a.m. Then it changed. 3:51 a.m. Then back again. My stomach dropped slightly. I tapped it. Nothing responded. The radio spoke again, and this time the voice was closer, like it had moved inside the cabin without opening a door. Unit 14, maintain reduced velocity. I swallowed. Why? I asked. A pause. Then, because you are approaching the same moment twice. I blinked. That sentence didn't make sense in any normal way. Explain, I said slowly. The radio didn't respond immediately. Instead, I heard something else. Breathing. Not mine. Not static. Slow. Measured. Like someone sitting just behind my seat. Then the voice returned. You are intersecting with a prior run. My jaw tightened. Prior run of what? I asked. A pause. Then, your patrol. My hands went cold. I looked at the road again. The same empty stretch. But now I noticed something small. The heat shimmer on the asphalt wasn't consistent. It was repeating, like a loop of air playing the same motion again and again. I blinked slowly. The radio clicked, and a new voice came through. Younger. Rushed. Unit 14, confirm visual clearance on mile 93. I sat up straighter. That sounded like dispatch, but wasn't formatted like dispatch. It was urgent in a way that felt rehearsed. I see nothing, I replied. A pause. Then you are ahead of schedule. My stomach tightened. Ahead of what schedule? I asked. Silence. Then the original calm voice returned, and it spoke like it was reading something already written. Accident event begins at 3:54 a.m. I glanced at the clock. 3:52 a.m. 2 minutes. My pulse rose slightly. What accident? I asked quickly. No answer. Instead, the radio started feeding me something else. Audio fragments, like broken recordings stitched together. Screaming, metal crushing, a siren cutting off mid-tone. Then silence. Then again, screaming, metal, silence. My breathing slowed instinctively. This is not real, I whispered. The radio responded immediately. It has not happened yet. That stopped me. I frowned. Then why am I hearing it? I asked. A pause. Then, because you're inside a prediction window. My eyes narrowed slightly. Prediction? I repeated. Yes. Another pause. Then the voice added something worse. And you are the only unit currently inside it. My throat tightened. I looked ahead again. The road still looked empty. But now it didn't feel empty. It felt waiting, like something had already chosen this section of road and was just waiting for time to catch up. The radio clicked again, and suddenly the tone changed. More structured, more official, like dispatch finally taking control. Unit 14, acknowledge pre-event protocol. I hesitated. What protocol? I asked. No answer at first. Then, witness containment. My stomach dropped instantly. Containment of what? I asked sharply. Silence. Then, the moment. I tightened my grip on the wheel. That doesn't make sense, I said. The radio responded instantly. It does if you have already seen it before. I blinked. Then I remembered something I didn't want to remember. The second patrol car. The one that was behind me now. It had been ahead before. I was sure of it, but I never saw it pass me. My chest tightened. I glanced in the mirror. Empty road behind me. But the feeling of being followed didn't leave. The radio crackled again, and this time the voice sounded different. Distorted, like multiple recordings overlapping. Unit 14, do not stop at mile 93. My breath slowed. Why? I asked. A pause. Then, because stopping is part of the sequence. My stomach tightened hard. What sequence? I repeated. The answer came slower now. Carefully, like it was trying not to scare me. Impact. Exit. Repetition. I frowned. Repetition of what? No answer. Instead, the radio changed again. And for the first time, I heard something that made my skin go cold. My own voice. Not current me. A version of me. Calm. Flat. Unit 14 confirming collision witness position. I froze. My hand lifted slightly from the wheel. That wasn't me. I hadn't said that. The radio continued playing it, like a recorded memory being replayed in real time. Then another line followed. Observation complete. Loop retained. My throat went dry. Loop? I whispered. The radio responded immediately. Yes. A pause. Then, you are currently the observation unit. My breathing got shallow. I looked forward again. The road was still empty. But now I noticed something new. A faint distortion in the air ahead. Not smoke. Not fog. Something more structured. Like space itself was bending slightly. The radio spoke again. And this time it sounded almost cautious. Impact threshold approaching. I swallowed hard. Where? I asked. No answer. Then suddenly, a second set of headlights appeared ahead. Not approaching. Not moving. Just existing. Stationary in the middle of the road. I slowed instantly. My heart jumped. What is that? I whispered. The radio responded. Previous iteration. I frowned. Previous iteration of what? Silence. Then, you. My chest tightened instantly. The headlights ahead flickered, and for a split second, I saw it clearly. A patrol car. Identical. Parked. Driver inside. Motionless. Facing forward. But the face. It wasn't visible. Just shadow. Then the radio spoke again. And this time the warning was sharp. Do not approach. I pressed the brakes harder. The tires hissed. The car slowed. But the version of me ahead, it didn't move. It just sat there, like it had already finished its part of the story. The radio continued softly. Impact is being recorded across all active units. I whispered, I don't understand. Then the voice answered. And this time it felt like the truth had finally stopped hiding. You are not preventing the accident. A pause. You are witnessing it from inside. The air in my car felt heavier now, like pressure had built inside the cabin itself. I looked ahead again. The two sets of headlights, the real road and the impossible one, were slowly aligning, merging, and the radio gave its final warning for that moment. Time convergence at 3:54 a.m. confirmed. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then it added one last line. Calm, final, prepare to experience continuity. And the moment those words ended, the world in front of me blinked. The radio wasn't speaking anymore. It was repeating me. Not my thoughts. Not my words from earlier. A version of me I had never spoken out loud. Unit 14 confirming collision at mile 93. Impact complete, requesting extraction. I slammed the brake without thinking. The patrol car jolted forward, then stopped hard in the empty highway. My hand stayed frozen on the wheel, because that voice was mine, but I wasn't speaking. The radio kept going, calm, controlled, like it had already lived through this moment. Unit 14 confirming officer injury status. I shook my head fast. No, I said out loud. That didn't happen. Silence hit instantly, not even static, just absence. Then my voice again, closer this time, like it was sitting inside the dashboard. Status unknown. Vision loss in right field. Vehicle overturned. My breath stopped for a second. Overturned. That word shouldn't exist in my present. I looked ahead at the road. Still flat. Still straight. Still normal. But my chest didn't believe it anymore. The radio continued, requesting emergency response from dispatch. I grabbed the radio unit immediately. Stop playback, I said sharply. This is Unit 14. Cancel all transmissions. A pause. Then, Unit 14 cannot cancel active continuity log. My jaw tightened. Why not? I demanded. The answer came instantly, because it is already signed. I froze. Signed by who? I asked slowly. Silence followed. Then, you. My throat went dry. I never signed anything, I said. The radio responded immediately. You did it mile 93. My grip tightened so hard on the wheel, my fingers hurt. That crash hasn't happened, I said. A pause. Then the voice changed slightly. Not different speaker. Same voice, but remembering something. It has. My stomach dropped. No, I whispered. Then the radio played something else. A sound, metal grinding, glass cracking, a siren cutting in and out like it was drowning. Then my voice again. Calm, detached. Unit 14 final transmission initiated. I shook my head. I am here, I said quickly. I am driving. I am alive. The radio didn't respond for a few seconds. Then, alive status is not required for transmission continuity. My breathing got shallow. I looked around the car. The interior felt unchanged. But suddenly it felt less real. Like I was sitting inside a memory that hadn't decided how it ended yet. The radio clicked again. And this time the voice softened. Not threatening. Not urgent. Just factual. You are replaying the last recorded minute of Unit 14's original patrol. My stomach tightened. Original? I repeated. Yes. A pause. Then, the one that ended at mile 93. I stared at the road ahead. My headlights cut through emptiness. But now I wasn't sure what I was looking at anymore. Show me proof, I said suddenly. The radio responded immediately, already displayed. My dashboard screen flickered, and then it appeared. A video feed, my patrol car, from outside, driving. But something was wrong. It wasn't perfectly synced with me. It was slightly ahead, like it had already been here. I leaned closer. The recording showed the same road I was on, but the lighting was different, heavier, darker, and in the distance, a distortion, a crash forming, slowly, like the moment was assembling itself before impact. My throat tightened. That's not happening, I whispered. The radio answered softly. It already did. I shook my head fast. No, I would remember a crash. The voice didn't argue. Instead, it said something worse. You do not remember the ending because it was never stored in your active layer. My eyes narrowed. Then where is it? I asked. A pause. Then, still looping, the dashboard video suddenly changed angle. Now I was seeing inside the car, my car, from the outside, and I saw myself, driving, normal, focused, but slightly delayed, like every movement was half a second behind intention. I felt my stomach twist. Then the video showed something ahead of me, another patrol car, stopped, same model, same markings, and I knew before it even zoomed in. It was mine, but wrecked, flipped, lights still blinking. I went silent. The radio spoke again. Final recorded event. Collision with overlapping unit. My voice came out weaker now. "That's not real," I said again. But I didn't sound convinced anymore. The radio responded gently. "It is not real anymore." A pause. Then, "It is recorded." My hand started trembling slightly. I looked at the road ahead again. Still empty. But now I felt it. A weight. Like something heavy had already happened in this exact space, and I was just arriving late to it. The radio clicked, and suddenly my own voice spoke again. But this time it sounded closer than before. Not from speakers. From memory. Unit 14 requesting post-impact status. I shook my head. "Stop," I said out loud. "Stop replaying this." No response. Then, post-impact status, incomplete. My chest tightened. Incomplete? I repeated. "Yes." A pause. Then, officer extraction failed. I swallowed. Extraction to where? I asked quietly. The answer came instantly. And it didn't sound like technology anymore. It sounded like understanding something too late. Outside the loop. Silence filled the car again. Heavy this time. Then the radio changed tone completely. All softness gone. All calm erased. Unit 14, final instruction active. My heart started racing again. What instruction? I asked. No answer. Then the dashboard flickered again. And I saw it. A timestamp. 3:54 a.m. Frozen. Locked. The exact time of impact. And beneath it, a new line appeared. Transmission not signed off. My throat tightened. What happens if it is signed off? I asked. The radio didn't respond immediately. Then, replay ends. A pause. Then, unit is released. I exhaled slightly without meaning to. Released. That sounded almost like relief. But then the voice added one last line. And the relief disappeared instantly. Everything outside the replay will cease to confirm you. I frowned. What does that mean? I asked. No answer. The road ahead shimmered slightly, like heat rising off asphalt. But it wasn't heat. It was distortion. The radio spoke one final time, and now it sounded closer than anything before it, like it was inside my own breath. Unit 14, a pause. Then, do you wish to sign off? My hand hovered slightly over the radio. My throat dry, because suddenly I realized something terrifying. If I said yes, the loop would end, but so would I. And if I said no, I would stay here, driving a moment that already ended. I looked ahead at the empty highway, the crash that hadn't arrived yet, or maybe already had. Then I whispered, "What am I now?" The radio answered softly. Pending transmission. A long silence followed. The dashboard clock flickered again. 3:54 a.m. And this time, it didn't move. It wasn't on the map yesterday. I checked twice before my shift started. Route 91 was clean, standard, nothing unusual. But tonight, there was an extra stretch of highway, just added like it had always been there. Like someone slipped it into reality while I wasn't looking. My radio crackled before I even reached the patrol car. Unit 14 confirmed route change. I stopped mid-step. Route change. I muttered. No one had briefed me. No memo. No update. Nothing. I looked down at my tablet. The map was open. And there it was again. A thin gray line extending past mile 93. New segment. No name. No history. Just blank road. I frowned. Dispatch. Confirm unauthorized route addition. I said into the radio. A pause followed. Too long. Then, no unauthorized changes detected. I blinked. That didn't make sense. I'm looking at it right now. I said, Static answered first, then a calm voice. Too calm. Unit 14, you're cleared for extended corridor patrol. I hesitated. Extended corridor to where? I asked. No answer. Just a soft click, like the channel had been closed without telling me. I stood there for a moment longer than I should have. Then I got in the car. The engine started normally. Too normally. That bothered me more than anything else. Because nothing about this shift felt like a normal start anymore. The highway light stretched ahead as I pulled out. Everything looked familiar, but familiarity didn't feel safe tonight. It felt staged, like I was driving through something that was waiting for me to notice it. The first 10 miles were fine. No traffic, no signals, just desert wind brushing against the edges of my headlights. But then I saw it, a road sign, faded white metal, half buried in sand. I slowed down instinctively. The text wasn't clear at first, but as I got closer, my stomach tightened. Route 91, continuation ahead. Continuation, not merge, not exit, continuation. I muttered under my breath. That's not how highways work. My radio clicked instantly. They do here. I frowned. Who is this? I asked. A pause. Then, dispatch. But it didn't sound like dispatch. It sounded like something pretending to be dispatch. I kept driving. The road stayed smooth for a while. Too smooth. No bumps. No variation. Just endless asphalt stretching forward like it had been iron flat. Then the horizon changed slightly. A subtle dip, like the land itself forgot how to stay level. I slowed down, and that's when I noticed it. The road markings were wrong. Not missing. Wrong. The lane divider lines were too fresh, too bright, like they had just been painted minutes ago. I frowned. That's not maintenance schedule timing, I said. No response. Only static breathing through the speaker. I continued forward anyway. Because what else was I supposed to do? Turn around? To what? The map didn't show an exit. It just extended. Like the road only knew how to go forward now. 10 minutes later, the air changed. Subtle at first. Less wind. Less movement. Even the desert felt like it had paused to watch. I slowed slightly. Then I saw something ahead. A sign. Again. But this one was different. Newer. Closer. And when my headlights hit it, my stomach dropped. It had my unit number on it. Unit 14, maintain course. I blinked. What the hell? I whispered. The radio answered immediately. Compliance acknowledged. I slammed my hand on the radio. I didn't acknowledge anything. I said sharply. Silence. Then, you are currently on assigned segment. My jaw tightened. I was not given this assignment. I said. A pause followed. Then, you were always assigned. That sentence hit differently than it should have. Like it wasn't informing me. It was correcting me. I kept driving. But now I was watching everything more closely. Every shadow, every movement, every reflection in the glass. The road kept stretching forward, but something about it felt less physical now. More like a recording playing too long. Then I saw it, a mile marker, but it wasn't normal. It leaned slightly toward the road, like it was trying to listen. I slowed down. Same number, but something felt wrong about it. The paint looked newer than the metal, like the number had been added after the pole was already there. I stopped the car. Just for a moment, the radio stayed silent. That silence felt heavier than noise. I stepped out slowly. The air outside was colder than it should have been. Not temperature cold, presence cold, like something had removed warmth from this exact section of space. I walked toward the marker. Each step sounded too loud, too intentional. When I reached it, I noticed scratches near the base. Fresh ones, not random. They looked like repeated motion, like someone had been dragging something around it in circles. I frowned. Maintenance. I muttered, but I already knew that wasn't right. Then my radio crackled again. And this time, the voice wasn't dispatch. It wasn't static. It was mine, but older, slower, like it had been recorded and replayed too many times. Unit 14 proceeding into unknown extension. I froze. That wasn't my voice. Not now. Not ever. I turned back toward the car, and that's when I noticed something that made my stomach drop. My patrol car lights were still on, but they were facing the wrong direction, like the car had slightly rotated while I wasn't looking. I stepped backward slowly. Okay, no, I whispered. The radio clicked again, and my voice returned. Same tone, same calm, but wrong. Visual confirmation. Route exists. I shook my head. No, I said firmly. It doesn't exist. It wasn't here yesterday. Silence. Then, it was not visible yesterday. I felt my pulse in my throat. I looked down the highway again, and for the first time, I noticed something that wasn't there before. A second lane, faint, almost transparent, running parallel to mine. Like another version of the road existed, just slightly out of sync. I blinked hard. It didn't disappear. It just stayed there, waiting. Then the radio spoke again, and this time it felt close. Too close. Unit 14, you are now within corridor overlap zone. My breath slowed. Overlap of what? I asked quietly. A pause. Then, with the version that came before you, I stood completely still. Wind finally moved again, but it didn't feel like wind. It felt like something passing through me, without permission. I looked at the marker one last time, and for a second, I saw something reflected in it. Not my face, not my car, a version of the road behind me, but darker, older, like it had already ended once before I arrived. The radio crackled softly one last time, and my own voice whispered through it. Unit 14 continues patrol on road that does not remain consistent. Then silence, and the highway ahead shifted slightly, like it had just remembered I was here. The first car disappeared while I was watching it. No warning, no distortion, no signal drop. Just 1 second it was there on my radar, and the next second it was gone, like the highway swallowed it whole without sound. I leaned closer to the dashboard screen. Unit 14 to dispatch, I said slowly. Confirm status of civilian vehicle entering mile 91 corridor. Static answered first. Then a calm voice came through. Too calm. Vehicle status in transit. I frowned. It's not on radar, I replied. A pause followed, long enough for me to notice my own breathing getting louder in the cabin. Then, radar delay is expected in blank segment. I sat back slightly. Blank segment. I repeated. No answer. Just a soft click. Like someone had muted the conversation instead of ending it. I slowed the patrol car. The highway ahead looked normal. But after what I saw on the radar, normal didn't feel trustworthy anymore. I kept driving. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Nothing changed outside. But inside the system, something was building. Every few seconds, I checked the radar again. Still empty. No vehicles. No signals. Just a clean stretch of nothing. But I knew something had entered. I had seen it. Then the radio crackled again. And this time, the voice wasn't dispatch. It was older, heavier, like it had been sitting inside the system for too long. Unit 14, acknowledge corridor drift. I frowned. What drift? I asked. No immediate response. Instead, I saw something ahead, a faint shimmer in the road, like heat rising from asphalt. But it wasn't heat. It was structure breaking down, space not behaving correctly. I slowed down instinctively. The radio spoke again. Vehicles entering blank space experience temporary removal from external tracking. I tightened my grip on the wheel. Temporary? I asked. A pause. Then, 17 minutes. That number hit strangely. Not random. Not vague. Exact. I looked at the radar again. Still empty. But now I started counting in my head. 1 car had entered before I saw it vanish. That meant it was still out there, just not visible. Where do they go? I asked quietly. The radio didn't answer immediately. Then, into unindexed roadway. I frowned. That's not a real classification, I said. The voice replied instantly. It is here. I exhaled slowly. Then I saw the second shimmer. Far ahead, a shape forming in the road. Not a vehicle. A gap, like the highway itself, was missing a piece. A clean cut through reality. I slowed more. The air inside the car felt heavier now, like pressure was building with every mile I crossed. Then I saw something move, not in front of me, on the side, a reflection, but wrong. In the window glass, I saw a car pass beside mine, too fast. No headlights, no sound, just motion. I turned quickly. Nothing. Empty highway. But my stomach tightened anyway, because I had seen it clearly. The radio clicked again. Unit 14, do not enter blank space without confirmation. I frowned. I'm not entering anything, I said. A pause. Then, you're already inside buffer range. My chest tightened slightly. Buffer range. I repeated, yes. Another pause. Then, 17-minute separation layer. I slowed further. The road ahead started to feel less solid, not visually, but mentally, like my brain was struggling to believe the continuity of it. I checked the radar again. Still nothing, but now I realized something worse. The time counter. It had started. A silent timer in the corner of the display. 1700 hours. 1659. 1658. My breath caught slightly. This is tracking something. I muttered. The radio responded immediately. It is tracking entry duration. I frowned. Entry into what exactly? I asked. No answer. Just static. Then the voice returned softer. Once a vehicle enters blank space, it cannot be observed until cycle completion. My throat tightened. Cycle completion? I repeated. Yes. Then 17 minutes. I looked ahead again. The shimmer was closer now. Wider, like the road itself was thinning. I slowed down almost to a crawl. The patrol car behind me was empty, but I still felt like I wasn't alone in the lane anymore. Then my radar flickered. A signal appeared. Sudden, sharp, one vehicle, right in the blank space zone. My breath stopped because it wasn't entering. It was exiting. The dot moved forward rapidly, rejoining the mapped highway, and as it reappeared, it was already past me. I spun slightly to look. A civilian sedan rushed by. No driver visible clearly. Just motion and speed. Then it was gone. Gone like nothing had happened. I blinked hard. That was 17 minutes? I whispered. The radio answered softly. Cycle complete. I tightened my grip. That vehicle was gone the whole time. I asked. A pause. Then it was untracked. I swallowed. Then something worse happened. The radar beeped again. Another signal appeared. Same entry point. Another vehicle had just entered blank space. I frowned. How many are doing this? I asked. No answer. Just the timer starting again. 1700 hours. 1659. I exhaled slowly. This is a loop delay zone, I said under my breath. The radio responded instantly. No. I frowned. What do you mean, no? A pause. Then, it is a memory separation field. I felt my stomach tighten. Memory separation? I repeated. Yes. Then, vehicles inside do not exist in active perception until reintegration. I looked ahead again. The road shimmer was stronger now, almost like liquid glass stretched across asphalt. My headlights bent slightly as they passed through it. I slowed to a stop. The engine idled loudly in the silence. The timer continued counting down. 1642. 1641. I stared at it. This isn't normal traffic control, I said quietly. The radio responded softly. No. A pause. Then, it is containment. My throat went dry. Containment of what? I asked. Silence followed. Long. Heavy. Then, movement that should not be recorded continuously. I frowned. That doesn't make sense, I said. The voice came back immediately. It does here. I looked at the blank space ahead. The shimmer now stretched across the entire road, like a thin invisible wall. And I realized something. I had never actually crossed it. I had been approaching it the entire time, slowly, without noticing. The timer kept going. 1558. 1557. My breathing slowed. Dispatch! I need clarification, I said. No response. I tried again. Dispatch, confirm system anomaly. Only static answered. Then, a new voice broke through. Different channel. Broken, like it was coming from inside the shimmer itself. Unit 14, do not enter. I froze, because I recognized it. My own voice. Delayed. Wrong. I leaned forward slightly. Who is this? I whispered. The radio responded softly. You already know. I shook my head. No, I said, that's impossible. The voice in the static continued. 17 minutes is not delay. My stomach tightened. It is separation, then silence. I stared at the road ahead. The shimmer pulsed once, like it was breathing. The timer hit 14:33, and I realized something I didn't want to understand. Every vehicle that entered the space was not lost. It was just waiting to become visible again, and I was close enough now to become one of them. It didn't crash. It didn't stop. It didn't even slow down. One moment the convoy was there. 3 heavy transport trucks, escort vehicles behind them, all perfectly visible on my radar. And the next second, nothing. Just empty road. No wreckage. No signal drop. No emergency alert. Just gone. I slammed the brakes hard enough that the patrol car jolted forward. What the hell? I whispered. My eyes stayed locked on the radar screen. Still refreshing. Still searching. Still insisting there had never been anything there. But I saw them. I saw all 3 trucks. Clear as daylight. I grabbed the radio. Dispatch! Confirm status of convoy unit on Route 91 corridor. Static came first. Long stretching. Like the system was thinking too hard. Then a calm voice replied. Convoy status. Not in transit. I blinked. That's incorrect, I said quickly. I had visual contact less than 10 seconds ago. A pause followed. Too precise. Too controlled. Then, visual confirmation unavailable. I leaned forward. No, I said firmly. I saw them. 3 transport trucks. Full escort. They were right in front of me. Silence. Then the voice changed slightly. Lower. Less human. Unit 14. Clarify observation source. I hesitated. What do you mean source? I asked. The radio clicked softly. Did you observe convoy directly or through system feed? I frowned. Through both, I said. Window and radar. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, no convoy exists on current layer. My stomach tightened. Layer? I repeated. No answer. Just static breathing through the speaker. I slowly started driving forward again. The road ahead looked normal. Too normal. That was the problem now. Normal didn't mean safe anymore. It meant something was hiding properly. I kept scanning the horizon. Nothing. No tire marks. No dust trails. No broken edges of reality like before. Just clean asphalt stretching forward, like it had never carried weight in its life. But I knew what I saw. 3 trucks. Heavy transport. Military escort style spacing. They don't just disappear. I slowed down as I approached the exact point where I had last seen them. My headlights swept across the road. Empty. But my mind refused to accept it. I stopped the car. Got out. The air felt different again. Thicker, like it had absorbed something recently and hadn't recovered yet. I walked forward slowly. Each step felt louder than it should have been. I crouched near the center of the lane. Nothing. No skid marks. No oil. No debris. Not even disturbed dust. It was like the convoy had been erased instead of removed. I whispered, that's impossible. The radio in my car clicked behind me, and this time, it didn't wait for me to ask anything. Convoy event classified as non-recordable displacement. I turned slightly. Non-recordable? I repeated, yes. A pause. Then, object existed in active observation only. I frowned. That makes no sense, I said. The radio responded instantly. It does not need to make sense to remain functional. I exhaled slowly. Then something hit me. If it only existed in observation, then what happened when I wasn't looking? I felt a cold pressure in my chest. I looked back at the road again, and for a split second, I thought I saw a movement. Not physical, not real, like a memory trying to replay itself, but failing halfway. A flicker, a shadow of 3 large shapes moving forward, then gone again. I stepped back quickly. Okay, no, I muttered. I got back into the patrol car fast, locked the door. For the first time tonight, I felt like the inside was safer than the outside. But that didn't last long, because the radio spoke again. And this time it used my name, not my unit. My name, Officer. I froze. No dispatcher ever used names on this channel, only unit IDs. I swallowed. Who is this? I asked quietly. A pause followed. Then, you observed the convoy. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. Yes, I said. I did. Another pause. Then you are responsible for its temporary removal. My breath stopped. What? I whispered. The radio continued calmly. Observer interaction collapses unstable entities into untracked state. I shook my head. No, I said quickly. I didn't do anything. I just saw them drive past. Silence. Then, that is enough. My chest tightened. That's not how reality works. I said louder. The radio responded instantly. It is here. I sat back slowly. My mind was trying to build logic where there was none. But something worse was forming underneath it. If observation affected them, then what else had I been observing tonight? The mile marker. I looked ahead again. The road shimmer was stronger now, almost like liquid glass stretched across asphalt. My headlights bent slightly as they passed through it. I slowed to a stop. The engine idled loudly in the silence. The timer continued counting down. 16:42, 16:41. I stared at it. This isn't normal traffic control, I said quietly. The radio responded softly. No. A pause. Then, it is containment. My throat went dry. Containment of what? I asked. Silence followed. Long. Heavy. Then, movement that should not be recorded continuously. I frowned. That doesn't make sense, I said. The voice came back immediately. It does here. I looked at the blank space ahead. The shimmer now stretched across the entire road, like a thin invisible wall. And I realized something. I had never actually crossed it. I had been approaching it the entire time, slowly, without noticing. The timer kept going. 15:58, 15:57. My breathing slowed. Dispatch! I need clarification, I said. No response. I tried again. Dispatch! Confirm system anomaly. Only static answered. Then, a new voice broke through. Different channel. Broken, like it was coming from inside the shimmer itself. Unit 14 did not enter. I froze, because I recognized it. My own voice. Delayed. Wrong. I leaned forward slightly. Who is this? I whispered. The radio responded softly. You already know. I shook my head. No, I said, that's impossible. The voice in the static continued. 17 minutes is not delay. My stomach tightened. It is separation, then silence. I stared at the road ahead. The shimmer pulsed once, like it was breathing. The timer hit 14:33, and I realized something I didn't want to understand. Every vehicle that entered the space was not lost. It was just waiting to become visible again. And I was close enough now to become one of them. It didn't crash. It didn't stop. It didn't even slow down. One moment the convoy was there. 3 heavy transport trucks, escort vehicles behind them, all perfectly visible on my radar. And the next second, nothing. Just empty road. No wreckage. No signal drop. No emergency alert. Just gone. I slammed the brakes hard enough that the patrol car jolted forward. What the hell? I whispered. My eyes stayed locked on the radar screen. Still refreshing. Still searching. Still insisting there had never been anything there. But I saw them. I saw all 3 trucks. Clear as daylight. I grabbed the radio. Dispatch! Confirm status of convoy unit on Route 91 corridor. Static came first, long stretching, like the system was thinking too hard. Then a calm voice replied, "Convoy status, not in transit." I blinked. "That's incorrect," I said quickly. "I had visual contact less than 10 seconds ago." A pause followed, too precise, too controlled. Then, visual confirmation unavailable. I leaned forward. "No," I said firmly. "I saw them. 3 transport trucks. Full escort. They were right in front of me." Silence. Then the voice changed slightly. Lower. Less human. "Unit 14. Clarify observation source." I hesitated. "What do you mean, source?" I asked. The radio clicked softly. "Did you observe convoy directly or through system feed?" I frowned. "Through both," I said. "Window and radar." Another pause. Longer this time. Then, "No convoy exists on current layer." My stomach tightened. "Layer?" I repeated. No answer. Just static breathing through the speaker. I slowly started driving forward again. The road ahead looked normal. Too normal. That was the problem now. Normal didn't mean safe anymore. It meant something was hiding properly. I kept scanning the horizon. Nothing. No tire marks. No dust trails. No broken edges of reality like before. Just clean asphalt stretching forward, like it had never carried weight in its life. But I knew what I saw. 3 trucks. Heavy transport. Military escort style spacing. They don't just disappear. I slowed down as I approached the exact point where I had last seen them. My headlights swept across the road. Empty. But my mind refused to accept it. I stopped the car. Got out. The air felt different again. Thicker, like it had absorbed something recently and hadn't recovered yet. I walked forward slowly. Each step felt louder than it should have been. I crouched near the center of the lane. Nothing. No skid marks. No oil. No debris. Not even disturbed dust. It was like the convoy had been erased instead of removed. I whispered, "That's impossible." The radio in my car clicked behind me, and this time, it didn't wait for me to ask anything. "Convoy event classified as non-recordable displacement." I turned slightly. "Non-recordable?" I repeated, "Yes." A pause. Then, "Object existed in active observation only." I frowned. "That makes no sense," I said. The radio responded instantly. "It does not need to make sense to remain functional." I exhaled slowly. Then something hit me. If it only existed in observation, then what happened when I wasn't looking? I felt a cold pressure in my chest. I looked back at the road again, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement. Not physical, not real, like a memory trying to replay itself, but failing halfway. A flicker, a shadow of 3 large shapes moving forward, then gone again. I stepped back quickly. "Okay, no," I muttered. I got back into the patrol car fast, locked the door. For the first time tonight, I felt like the inside was safer than the outside. But that didn't last long, because the radio spoke again. And this time it used my name, not my unit. My name, Officer. I froze. No dispatcher ever used names on this channel, only unit IDs. I swallowed. "Who is this?" I asked quietly. A pause followed. Then, "You observed the convoy." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Yes," I said. "I did." Another pause. Then you are responsible for its temporary removal." My breath stopped. "What?" I whispered. The radio continued calmly. "Observer interaction collapses unstable entities into untracked state." I shook my head. "No," I said quickly. "I didn't do anything. I just saw them drive past." Silence. Then, "That is enough." My chest tightened. "That's not how reality works." I said louder. The radio responded instantly. "It is here." I sat back slowly. My mind was trying to build logic where there was none. But something worse was forming underneath it. If observation affected them, then what else had I been observing tonight? The mile marker, the blank road, the disappearing vehicles, the voices in the radio. I looked at my hands slightly. What am I doing to this place? I whispered, No answer. Just static. Then the radar beeped. Another convoy signal appeared. Same route. Same formation. Same pattern. Entering the corridor again. I stared at it. My throat went dry. No, I muttered. The timer from earlier flickered in my mind again. But this wasn't the same system. This was something else. Something repeating. Something trying again. I watched the convoy icon move forward, approaching the same point. Approaching me, I whispered into the radio, "Dispatch, advise, another convoy is entering the corridor." No response, only silence. Then a different voice broke through, soft, almost tired. "Do not observe." I froze. That voice wasn't system generated. It sounded human. Close. Too close. "Who is this?" I whispered. No reply. I looked up at the road. Headlights appeared in the distance. 3 trucks. Same convoy. Same spacing. Same silent movement. But this time, I forced myself not to focus on them. I looked slightly away. Kept them in peripheral vision only. My heart hammered hard in my chest. They passed the entry point. No change. No disappearance. I exhaled slowly. "Okay," I whispered, "so observation is the trigger." Then I made a mistake. I looked directly at them, just for a second, just to confirm. And the moment I did, they flickered. All 3 trucks, like a bad signal trying to stabilize. Then, gone. My breath stopped completely. The road was empty again. The radio clicked instantly. Collapse detected. I closed my eyes. "Stop saying that." I whispered. A pause. Then, observation confirmed displacement. My hands trembled slightly. I leaned forward. "This isn't real," I said. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it anymore, because I was starting to understand the rule. The moment I acknowledge something here, it stops existing the way it should. I sat in silence for a long time. Then the radio spoke one last time. Soft, almost like it was trying to be careful now. "Officer," I didn't answer. "You are currently the only active observer on Route 91. My throat tightened. "Meaning?" I asked quietly. A pause. Then, "All other observers have been removed." I slowly turned my head toward the empty highway. No cars. No signals. No convoy. Just me, and a road that only exists properly when I stop paying attention to it. The radio clicked once more, and before going silent, it said something that made my stomach drop completely. "Please proceed without witnessing further anomalies." A long pause followed. Then, "or they will continue to not exist." The line went dead, and for the first time, I was afraid to look at the road ahead, because I didn't know anymore if I was saving things by seeing them, or erasing them just by noticing they were there. It started with a feeling, not a sound, not a signal, just a sense that something was standing too close behind my shoulder. Even though I was alone in the car, I slowed the patrol vehicle. Without thinking, my eyes scanned the rearview mirror. Nothing, just empty highway stretching behind me. But the feeling didn't leave. It grew heavier, like attention focused on me from just outside the glass. I whispered, "Get it together." Then the radio clicked. No static this time. Just silence before a voice spoke. Soft, too soft. "Unit 14 do not acknowledge roadside presence." I frowned. What roadside presence? I asked. No answer. Only that same silence again. But now I noticed something new. The road ahead looked normal, but the edges weren't stable. They shimmered slightly, like the world was unsure where it should end. I slowed the car further, and then I saw it, a shape, standing just beyond the white line. Still, not moving, human outline, but wrong in height, too stretched upward, like it was pulled too tall by something unseen. I stopped the car immediately. My hand hovered over the radio. "Dispatch, confirm visual obstruction on Route 91 shoulder." No response, just breathing static. I leaned forward slightly, squinted. The shape didn't move, didn't react, just stood there facing the road, like it was waiting for something to pass. I whispered, "That's not a person." Then it tilted its head, slow, Too slow. Not toward me. Not exactly. Just slightly toward my direction, like it had noticed my attention shifting. My throat tightened. I looked away instinctively, just for a second. When I looked back, it was closer, not walking, not moving in a normal sense, just nearer, like distance had been edited instead of crossed. I stepped on the brake harder. The radio clicked instantly. Do not maintain visual contact. I froze. Why? I asked quietly. No answer. Then a second voice came through. Broken. Familiar. My own voice again, but strained. Looking increases proximity. I exhaled sharply. No, I said, that's not how space works. Silence followed. Then the radio responded softly. It is here. I looked forward again carefully, but only through the corner of my eye this time. The shape was still there, still watching. But now I noticed something worse. There wasn't just one. There were more, standing further down the roadside, spaced out like markers, all facing the highway, all angled slightly toward me. I swallowed hard. Why are there so many? I whispered. The radio answered immediately. They're observing observers. My chest tightened. That doesn't make sense, I said. The voice replied calmly. It does not need to be understood to function. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Then I noticed something else. The shadows weren't casting correctly. Some of them stretched toward the road, others away, but none matched the light from my headlights, like they were lit from somewhere else entirely. I forced myself to keep moving, slow, careful, eyes forward, not directly looking at any of them. But even without looking, I could feel them. Every few seconds, my peripheral vision caught movement, small shifts, like they were adjusting their attention when I wasn't fully watching. Then one step closer, not dramatically, just slightly, but enough that I felt it in my chest immediately. I hit the brake again. The radio reacted instantly. Do not stop an observation field. I frowned. Observation field? I repeated. No answer, just silence. Then my own voice again came through. Calmer now, but calm. Stopping confirms presence. My breath slowed. So what am I supposed to do? I whispered. No answer. I looked forward again carefully. The silhouettes were closer now. Much closer. Not surrounding me, but aligning with me. Matching my position on the road, like they were adjusting to my movement. I swallowed hard. This is not real, I said quietly. And the moment I said it, the radio responded. Denial increases clarity. I frowned. What does that mean? I asked. No answer. Then a soft tone, almost like a warning. Unit 14, reduce interpretive thinking. I blinked. Reduce what? But before I could get a response, something happened outside. One of the silhouettes moved directly into my lane. I slammed the brakes instantly, but there was nothing physical. No impact, no sound, just the sensation of passing through something that shouldn't be there. My chest tightened. What the hell? I whispered. I looked forward again. The silhouette was gone, but my windshield had a faint smudge now, like something had been pressed against it from the outside. Slowly, intentionally, I reached for the wiper instinctively, but stopped because I saw handprints. Not clean, not human clean. Smudged marks layered on top of each other, like multiple attempts had been made to hold onto the glass. I leaned back slowly. My breathing became shallow. Then the radio clicked again, and this time it didn't use my name. It used my position. Observer currently destabilizing boundary integrity. I shook my head. I'm not doing anything, I said quickly. Silence followed. Then, your presence is sufficient. I felt my stomach drop. I looked forward again carefully. The silhouettes were no longer standing still. They were all turning slightly now, not toward the road, toward me, all at once, like something had synchronized them. I whispered, okay, this is wrong. Then one of them stepped fully into the road again. This time I didn't stop. I drove through. Nothing physical happened, but the moment I crossed it, the radio emitted a sharp static burst. Then silence. For the first time, no voice came through, just dead air. I exhaled slowly, but the relief didn't last, because now the silhouettes were gone. Completely, the roadside was empty again, like they had never existed. But the feeling behind my shoulder didn't leave. It stayed, closer now, more focused, like it had moved inside the car. I glanced at the passenger seat quickly. Nothing, but my seatbelt creaked slightly, like it had just been adjusted by invisible pressure. I froze. Then very slowly, I looked forward again, and in the rear view mirror, I saw it, not outside, inside the reflection, just behind me, a shape leaning slightly toward my shoulder, watching the road with me, not touching, not attacking, just observing, waiting for me to acknowledge it properly. My voice barely came out. "Okay," I whispered. The shape in the mirror tilted slightly, and the radio, without power, without static, without activation, whispered one final line. "Now you are part of roadside count." Then everything went quiet again. But I didn't move, because I wasn't sure anymore if I was the one driving the patrol car, or just another silhouette watching from the edge of the road. The map changed while I was looking at it. Not slowly, not with warning. It just updated. 1 second route, 91 was straight. The next, it bent slightly to the east like it had always been that way. I blinked hard. "That's not possible," I whispered. I zoomed out on the patrol tablet. The highway line shimmered faintly, like it was unsure of its own shape. Then it corrected itself again, this time shifting west. My stomach tightened. "Okay, no system does that," I said. The radio clicked immediately. No static, no delay, just a calm voice. "Correction acknowledged." I frowned. "What correction?" I asked. Silence followed, but the map changed again. Right in front of me, the road I was physically driving on did not match what I was seeing on screen anymore. I slowed the car instinctively. The asphalt ahead looked stable, but the digital overlay kept drifting, like reality and the system were arguing about where I was supposed to be. Then the radio spoke again. "Unit 14, remain aligned with current coordinates." I exhaled slowly. "I am aligned," I said. "Your map is wrong." A pause. Then, "There is no wrong map." I looked at the screen again. The highway line had split, not into 2 paths, but into 3. One matched my direction. The other 2 curved into places that didn't exist in the physical road ahead. My grip tightened on the wheel. "Okay," I muttered. "This is getting worse." Then something outside caught my attention. A road sign ahead. I slowed down. It read, "Route 91, East Shift Corridor." I frowned. "That sign wasn't there yesterday," I said quietly. The radio responded instantly. It was not visible yesterday. I looked closer as I approached it. The metal wasn't new. It looked aged, weathered, like it had been standing there for years. But the paint was fresh. Too fresh. Like someone had repainted history, without replacing the object itself. I drove past it slowly, and the moment I crossed it, my GPS beeped. Coordinates updated. Not slightly. Completely. The entire location jumped. Like I had been teleported a few meters sideways without moving. I slammed the brakes. "What just happened?" I whispered. The radio answered softly. "Spatial correction applied." I shook my head. "No," I said. "I didn't move." A pause. Then, "You remain in correct position. Environment adjusted." My breath caught. "That's not how roads work," I said. Silence. Then the system replied calmly. "It is how this one works." I stared forward. The highway ahead looked normal again. But now I noticed something I didn't want to notice. The horizon was slightly off-center. Not dramatically. Just enough to feel wrong when you focus on it. Like the world was leaning a few degrees in a direction it shouldn't. I kept driving. Slow. Careful. Watching the map more than the road now. Big mistake. Because the map changed again. This time aggressively. The highway line snapped sideways like it had been pulled by something off-screen. My car's GPS recalculated instantly. "Route deviation detected," it said. I blinked. "I didn't deviate," I said. The radio responded immediately. "You did not. The route did." I frowned. What does that even mean? I asked. No answer. Just a soft digital hum through the speaker. Then the road ahead shifted slightly. I felt it before I saw it. The tires didn't move, but the alignment changed, like the surface I was driving on had rotated under me. I slowed down sharply. My stomach tightened. This is not real, I muttered. The radio clicked. Reality is stable. Pathing is not. I laughed once, but it didn't feel like humor. Pathing? I repeated. Yes. A pause. Then, the highway is recalculating its optimal position. I looked up fast. What? I said. The map shifted again. Now the road ahead was no longer straight. It curved gently toward a direction I could not see yet. But physically, nothing had changed. That was the worst part. The world stayed still, while the instructions for it didn't. I slowed the car almost to a stop, and then I saw it, ahead on the road. A faint line, not paint, not marking, a seam, like the asphalt itself had been stitched together in sections. I stopped completely. What the hell is that? I whispered. The radio answered immediately. Coordinate stitching point. I frowned. Stitching what together? I asked. No response. Only silence. Then my GPS flickered again, and I saw something I didn't expect. My current position shifted backward on the map, but my car hadn't moved. I checked outside quickly. Still in the same place. Still on the same road. But the system thought I wasn't. Okay, I whispered. That's not just glitching. The radio responded softly. Correction, conflict detected. I swallowed. Conflict with what? I asked. A pause. Then, with physical observation, I looked at the road ahead again. The seam was closer now, and I realized something horrible. It wasn't a crack. It was a boundary between two versions of the same road. My radio clicked again, and this time the voice sounded strained, not emotional, but overloaded. Unit 14, do not cross active seam transition. I frowned. I'm not planning to, I said. Silence followed. Then, you're already within its influence radius. My chest tightened. Meaning? I asked quietly. No answer. Then the map changed again. But this time, it changed around me. Not the road, not the display, the position marker. It slid slightly forward. Even though I hadn't moved, I felt my breathing slow. That's impossible, I whispered. The radio responded immediately. No, it is adjustment. I shook my head. I didn't move. I said firmly. A pause. Then, you were moved in coordinate logic. I stared at the windshield. The seam ahead pulsed faintly, like it had noticed me noticing it. My stomach dropped slowly. Then I realized something I didn't want to understand. The highway wasn't changing randomly. It was reacting to position, to observation, to certainty. Every time I believed I knew where I was, it changed to prove me wrong. I whispered, it's alive. The radio responded softly. Yes. That single word hit harder than anything else tonight. I backed the car slightly, just a few inches. The map immediately reacted. The road shifted in response, like it didn't want me to leave its preferred layout. I stopped moving completely, and for the first time, the map stabilized. Not because it was fixed, but because I wasn't challenging it. I exhaled slowly. So as long as I don't think about position, I muttered. The radio cut in. Correct. I frowned. That's insane. Silence followed. Then, it is consistent. I laughed quietly, but it died halfway, because I realized something worse. If thinking changed the road, then every decision I made was shaping it. Every observation, every doubt, every attempt to understand it. I looked forward again. The seam was gone, replaced by normal asphalt, like nothing had ever been there. But the GPS still showed a fracture line, and my position marker was now slightly behind where I was physically sitting. I froze. That's not alignment. I whispered. The radio responded softly. It is recalibration. I didn't move for a while, just sat there, watching the map shift in tiny corrections, each one slightly wrong, each one slightly real. Then the radio clicked one final time, and this time It didn't sound like a system. It sounded like something learning me. Unit 14, avoid certainty. I swallowed, and if I don't, I asked quietly. A long pause followed. Then the highway will decide for you. The line went silent, and I stared forward at a road that no longer cared where I thought I was, only where it needed me to believe I was going next. The first time I saw her, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. 2:10 a.m., empty highway, no traffic, no wind, just my patrol car crawling through darkness like it was swallowing the road whole. Then she was there, standing right in the middle of the lane. White dress, bare feet, hair falling over her face like wet rope. I hit the brakes so hard the tires screamed. My heart didn't just jump. It stopped for a second, like it forgot what to do. There are things you see on night shift that mess with your head. Shadows, fatigue, heat in the eyes. I've seen all of that, but this wasn't that. She wasn't near the road. She was placed there, like someone had set her down carefully in the middle of nowhere and told the world to keep moving around her. I leaned forward, hands tight on the wheel. "Hello," I said, even though I already knew that was stupid. No answer, no movement, just her head slightly tilted down, like she was listening to something under the road. I reached for the radio without looking away. "Dispatch, this is Unit 14. I've got a pedestrian on the highway. Need confirmation on any missing persons in Sector 9. Static answered me first. Long, heavy static. Then something else came through it. Breathing. Not mine. Not the car's. Something slow. Close. And then a voice. Soft. Broken. Don't stop the car. I froze. My grip tightened so hard my knuckles hurt. "Dispatch," I said. "Repeat last transmission." Silence again. Then the voice came back, clearer this time. It said my name. That was the first real crack in my mind that night. I looked up fast. She was gone. Just gone. No footsteps. No movement. No trace. Like the road had swallowed her whole. My chest tightened. I checked both sides of the highway, half expecting her to be running into the dark. Nothing. Just empty asphalt stretching into black fields. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to breathe normally. "Okay," I whispered to myself. "Okay, just a hallucination." But then my headlights flickered. Once, twice, and in that second of dim light, I saw something in my rear-view mirror. She was behind the car, standing exactly where I had just been looking. So close I could have sworn she was touching the back bumper. I jerked my head around instantly. Nothing there, just road. But the mirror still showed her, standing perfectly still, facing forward, looking at me. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like I fell out of my seat. I turned my head back to the mirror again. She was gone. I slammed the brakes again, heart hammering. What the hell is this? I muttered. My radio crackled again, this time louder, more aggressive, like something was trying to push through the signal. "Unit 14, do not look behind you." My throat went dry. That wasn't dispatch protocol. That wasn't any human tone I had ever heard. I forced myself to speak. "Identify yourself." The radio hissed. Then came a sound like metal dragging across concrete. And her voice again. Closer now. "You already saw me." My hand started shaking. I turned off the radio instantly. Dead silence filled the car. But silence made it worse. Because now I could hear something outside. Soft steps. Circling the car. Slow. Deliberate. Not rushing. Like whatever was at all the time in the world. I didn't move. I didn't breathe properly. I just watched the darkness outside my window, waiting for something to show itself. Nothing did, but the footsteps kept going, around and around, always just out of sight. I rolled the window up without thinking. Click. That small sound felt too loud. The footsteps stopped. Everything stopped. Even the air felt frozen. Then, a whisper right next to my ear, inside the car. "You shouldn't have stopped." I slammed my head against the seat in panic and looked around. No one. Nothing. Just me. Alone. But the passenger seatbelt was unbuckled. I never touched it. My breathing got heavier. Faster. I pressed the gas hard. The car jolted forward like it was relieved to move. I didn't care where I was going anymore. I just wanted distance. Road signs passed in a blur. Trees bent like dark bones on both sides. And then I saw something that made my stomach twist again. The same woman, ahead of me, standing in the road again. Same white dress, same stillness. But this time I didn't stop. I swerved slightly, heart pounding, trying to pass her. And as I crossed her position, she didn't move. She didn't even react. She just stayed there, like I was the one passing through her space, not the other way around. A second later, she was gone again. No turning, no fading, just absence. My breathing turned shallow. "Were you?" I whispered into the empty car. No answer, but my radio turned itself back on. I didn't touch it. It just clicked alive. And this time, I heard something that made my blood go cold. My own voice. Calm, clear, controlled. Unit 14 reporting visual anomaly on Route 9. Subject confirmed. Repeating. Subject confirmed. I stopped the car so fast it almost skidded. "That's not me," I said out loud. But the radio kept playing my voice. "I am continuing pursuit." I stared at it like it was alive, like it was mocking me. Then the transmission ended with something that wasn't part of any report. A breath, and her voice. "Close again. You already did." The radio died. Everything went silent again. But now I couldn't trust silence. I kept driving, but slower this time. Careful, eyes scanning every inch of the road. And that's when I noticed it. The road ahead wasn't straight anymore. It bent slightly to the left, like it was remembering something wrong. Like the highway was rewriting itself in real time. My chest tightened. This route doesn't do that. I muttered, but it was doing it, right in front of me, and somewhere in that bending darkness, I knew she was still there, watching, waiting, not chasing me anymore, because I wasn't running from her. I was already inside whatever this was. And then, just before the next curve swallowed my headlights, I saw her one last time, not in front, not behind, but reflected in the glass of my side mirror, sitting inside my back seat, looking straight at me, and smiling. She didn't just appear on the road anymore. She appeared before death. And that's when I realized the worst part wasn't seeing her. It was understanding what she meant. It started with a call at 3:07 a.m. Single vehicle crash on Route 9 near the old bridge curve. Nothing unusual at first, but my hands were still shaking from the last encounter, from her smile in my rear-view mirror. I told myself it was fatigue, stress, night shift hallucinations. That's what I wanted to believe. But then I saw the time on the dashboard, 3:12 a.m., 5 minutes after the crash call. And I hadn't even reached the location yet. The road was too quiet, too clean, like it had already erased what happened. I slowed down near the curve, headlights sweeping across wet asphalt. And that's when I saw her again, standing on the shoulder, not on the road this time, just watching. Same white dress, same stillness. But now I understood something new. She wasn't part of the accident. She was before it. I stopped the car slowly, my stomach already tightening, because the air felt different here. Heavy, like it was holding its breath. I didn't speak. I didn't radio dispatch. I just watched her. And for the first time, she looked at me like she recognized me, not as an officer, not as a stranger, but as someone who was starting to understand. Then she turned her head slightly, toward the curve ahead. I followed her gaze, and I saw the skid marks, fresh, dark against the asphalt. My pulse spiked. "There hasn't been a report yet," I whispered, but even as I said it, I knew I was wrong, because the crash had already happened, just not in my time. My radio crackled again. I didn't touch it. It turned on by itself. Dispatch voice came through, calm and wrong. Unit 14, confirmed visual on victim location. I looked around. "There's no victim yet," I said slowly. Silence. Then her voice replaced dispatch. Soft. "Close. You're early." My breath caught. I turned sharply toward her. She hadn't moved, still standing there. But now she was closer. Not physically walking, just closer in perception. Like distance didn't matter anymore. I stepped out of the car without thinking. My boots hit the pavement harder than I expected. "Who are you?" I asked. My voice cracked halfway through. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked at the road again, and that's when I heard it. Not a crash. Not yet. But the sound of tires losing control. Faint. Far ahead. A sound that hadn't happened yet. My blood ran cold. "You're warning me?" I said. She tilted her head slightly, like the question amused her, or disappointed her. Then she spoke. "I don't warn." A pause. I arrived first. The wind shifted suddenly, cold enough to sting my face. And in that moment, I saw something I shouldn't have. The road ahead flickered, just for a second, like reality skipped. And in that skip, I saw the crash happen. A car spinning, glass exploding, metal folding like paper, screams that didn't reach sound yet. Then it snapped back to normal. Empty road, quiet night, no wreck. Not yet. My knees went weak. I grabbed the hood of my patrol car to steady myself. "What is this?" I whispered. She finally moved, one step closer, then another, but her feet didn't touch the asphalt properly. They hovered just above it, like she didn't belong to gravity. "You see the ending," she said softly, "but you don't see the beginning." My throat tightened. "Then stop it," I said suddenly. "If you know it's coming, stop it." That made her pause, for the first time. A real pause. And then she said something that made my chest feel hollow. "I am not allowed to change what is already seen." I stared at her. "That doesn't make sense." She looked at me directly now, and I felt it again. That pressure in my mind, like something was pressing gently against my thoughts. "You think you are watching events," she said, "but you are collecting them." My radio suddenly burst alive again. Static screaming. Then my own voice came through it. Calm. Perfectly calm. Unit 14 confirming fatality on Route 9. Time of incident recorded. I stepped back instantly. "That's not me," I said out loud, but the radio kept playing. My voice continued. Subject observed prior to impact. Female entity confirmed present before event. My hand started shaking harder now, because I had never reported that. I had never even seen the crash. Not yet. And still, my voice knew it. I slammed the radio off. Hard. Silence returned. But it wasn't comfort anymore. It felt like waiting. She was closer now. Close enough that I could see details I hadn't noticed before. No shadows under her feet. No reflection in puddles. No breath in the cold air. Just presence. Wrong presence. "You're connected to this," I said quietly. It wasn't a question anymore. It was fear trying to become logic. She nodded once. Slow, like confirming something already decided long ago. Then she pointed toward the curve again. I looked, and this time I saw something worse. Not the crash. The aftermath before it happened. Debris already scattered. Broken glass already glittering. A fire that hadn't ignited yet. A scene waiting for time to catch up. I stepped back again. "No!" I whispered. "This isn't real." But my body didn't believe me anymore, because the air smelled like burning rubber, even though nothing had burned. She walked past me then, slow, calm, like I wasn't important anymore. And as she passed, she said something barely audible. "You will report it soon." I turned fast. "What do you mean?" But she didn't stop. She kept walking toward the curve, toward the crash that hadn't finished existing yet. And then she vanished. Not fading, not disappearing, just skipping out of reality, like she had never been fully inside it to begin with. I stood there alone, breathing too fast. My mind trying to hold on to logic, but logic was slipping, because I already knew what was coming. My radio crackled one last time. No static this time. Just clarity. Perfect clarity. My own voice again. Unit 14 on scene. Confirming fatal collision. One vehicle. No survivors. I slowly looked at the empty road ahead. And far in the distance, I heard it. The crash. Finally happening. Metal screaming into silence. And I realized something I didn't want to understand. By the time I arrive at anything, it has already been seen, and she is always there first, waiting, watching, making sure I remember it correctly. But as I stood there, frozen between what was real and what wasn't yet real, I saw something new in the side mirror. Not her this time. Me, standing on the road ahead, looking back at myself. It started with a file that should not have existed. Not on my desk. Not in our system. Not in any active report. But it was there. Route 9 Incident Archive. 7 years old. No signature. No closure code. Just one line that made my stomach drop. Female casualty confirmed. Body unrecovered. I stared at it longer than I should have, because I already knew what this was connected to. Her, the woman in white, the one who appears before crashes, the one who walks through mirrors, the one who speaks like she already knows what will happen. My hands felt cold as I scrolled further. There were more entries. Same road, same pattern, different officers, different nights, same outcome. Accident reported, no body found. No explanation. But what made my throat tighten was this. Every report had one thing in common. Witness sightings. Always the same description. White dress. Bare feet. Silent presence near the impact zone. I leaned back in my chair slowly. Something inside me was starting to connect in a way I didn't want. I whispered, "This isn't new." And the moment I said it, the radio in my patrol car crackled, even though I was inside the station. Even though it was turned off, static filled the room, like it had broken through the walls themselves. Then her voice came through. Soft. Close. You are reading me again. I stood up instantly, heart hammering. "No," I said out loud. "No, I'm not even on patrol." But the radio didn't care. The voice continued. "You're always on patrol." My breath caught. I looked around the room. Other officers were working normally. No one reacted. No one heard it. It was just inside my space, inside my head. I grabbed the radio and yanked the battery out. Hard. Silence returned. But it didn't feel like silence anymore. It felt like waiting for permission to speak again. I forced myself back to the file. Route 7. 7 years ago. Female pedestrian struck by convoy unit during night escort. But the report ended strangely. No body recovery. No hospital record. No identification. Just one note scribbled in the margin. Scene incomplete. My fingers slowed because I realized something worse. Accidents don't end like that. Not in official records. Something always closes them. Always. But this one was left open. Like someone stopped reality halfway through. I scrolled further down. And then I saw it. A blurred photograph attached to file. Low quality. Night vision capture. Her white dress looked brighter now. Not clean. Not pure. Just impossible to ignore. "You always think I am the ending," she said. "But I am only the moment before it becomes real." My throat felt dry. "Then what am I?" I asked. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was deciding how much truth I could survive. Then she said it. "You are the one who confirms I exist." That hit harder than anything else so far, because suddenly everything made sense in the worst possible way. The files, the reports, the radio voice, the rewritten documents. My name attached to things I never saw happen. I wasn't chasing her. I was locking her into reality. With every report, with every confirmation, with every word I gave the system. My voice was building her, piece by piece. My legs moved on their own, step by step toward the car. But I wasn't getting inside. I was walking past it, toward her. The headlights stretched long shadows across the road, but she didn't cast one. That detail stuck in my mind more than anything. Not because it was strange, but because I hadn't noticed it before. "You've done this before?" I said quietly. She didn't deny it. That was worse. Instead, she turned slightly, and the road ahead shifted. Not metaphorically, visibly, like the asphalt itself was remembering something different. A curve formed where there shouldn't have been one. A crash site waiting to exist. I stopped walking. My boots hit the ground harder than I expected. I remember now. I whispered, not because I actually remembered, but because my mind was filling in gaps it shouldn't have been able to fill. A convoy, a patrol, headlights in fog, a body on the road, a report being written too fast, a signature that looked like mine, and her, standing right there, watching me confirm it. She tilted her head slightly. "You always reach this point," she said, "and then you choose the report instead of the silence." My breathing turned uneven. "I don't choose this," I said quickly. But even as I said it, I knew I had been choosing something. Every time I logged an incident, every time I verified a sighting, every time I wrote confirmed, I was stitching her into existence like evidence that refused to stay buried. The headlights behind me flickered once, then stayed steady. But the light didn't feel like safety anymore. It felt like observation, like something watching me from inside the system itself. I looked at her again, and for the first time, I noticed something different. She wasn't approaching me. She was waiting for me to approach her. That realization made my stomach turn, because it meant this wasn't a chase. It was a completion. "You don't want to be found," I said slowly. Her expression didn't change, but something in her presence tightened, like I had said something close to truth. "I don't need to be found," she replied. "I need to be recorded correctly." My chest felt tight. "What happens if I stop?" I asked. That was the first time she looked uncertain. Not afraid, not emotional, just paused, like the system didn't have an answer for that yet. Then she said quietly, "Then I stop appearing." That should have sounded like freedom, but it didn't. It sounded like collapse, because I understood what she really meant. If I stopped reporting her, she would stop existing in any form I could recognize, and everything she had ever touched would disappear with her. The crashes, the records, the bodies that were never found, even the memory of them, gone, not healed, not fixed, just erased. The wind picked up slightly, cold and sharp. The headlights behind me steadied again, but now they felt further away, like the world was preparing to reset itself around me. She stepped forward once, slow, controlled, and this time she entered the edge of the headlights fully. Her face became visible, not beautiful, not frightening, just human-shaped enough to hurt. "You are standing at the point where it stops being an accident," she said, "and starts being history." My hand shook. "I don't want this," I said. For the first time, it wasn't denial. It was exhaustion. She nodded slightly. "I know." Then she did something I didn't expect. She stepped back, just one step, out of the light, and in that moment, I felt something shift in the world, like a door closing somewhere far away. Not loudly, just permanently. "Why are you stepping away?" I asked. Her voice softened. "Because you are about to decide." My pulse spiked. Decide what? She looked at me for a long moment, then said, "Whether I remain a warning or become a report." The road behind me flickered again, and I saw it. Not a crash, not an accident, a choice. My voice on the radio, my handwriting on a file, my signature confirming something I never witnessed. All of it forming a chain that led directly to her existence. And if I stopped, the chain broke, but so did everything it had ever held in place. I took a shaky step forward, then another. My boots moved closer to the headlights, closer to her. The light stretched across her again, and for the first time, she didn't move away. She stayed exactly where she was, waiting, not for rescue, not for escape, but for acknowledgement. My voice came out barely above a whisper. "If I confirm you," she finished the sentence for me. "I stay." A long silence followed, heavy, alive, the kind of silence that feels like it's watching you choose. My hand slowly lifted, not toward a weapon, not toward control, toward the radio hanging from my belt, still active, still listening, still waiting for my report. Behind me, the headlights flickered one more time, and I understood something that made my chest feel empty. This was never about stopping her. It was about deciding whether I would be the one who keeps remembering her into existence. I looked at her one last time, standing in the edge of light and darkness, not reaching, not running, just waiting for my voice. And I realized the final truth wasn't about her at all. It was about me, because I wasn't the officer arriving at the scene. I was the one who made sure the scene never disappeared. He didn't look new. That was the first wrong thing. They told me he was a fresh assignment. Backup for night patrols, dispatch said. But when I saw him standing beside my patrol car at 2:03 a.m., he was already watching the road like he had been there for years. Not nervous, not curious, just familiar, like the highway belonged to him. I rolled down the window, halfway. The air outside felt colder than it should have been. "You're Officer Rahim?" I asked. He nodded once. No hesitation. "Call me Faraz," he said. Simple. Calm. Too calm. I noticed his uniform wasn't stiff like new recruits. No wrinkles of adjustment. It fit him like it had already learned his body. That should have been nothing. But I remember thinking, this doesn't feel like a first night. It felt like a return. Dispatch crackled in my radio before I could say anything else. Unit 17, confirmed second officer on Route 6 patrol. I glanced at him. He was already sitting in the passenger seat. Door closed. Seatbelt on. I didn't see him get in. That was the second wrong thing. The engine was already running. We pulled out onto Route 6 like we had done it 1,000 times. Even though I had never worked with him before, the highway stretched empty under the weak orange lights. Long shadows crawled across the asphalt like something moving just beneath the surface. Faraz didn't look around like most rookies do. No scanning. No adjusting. He just stared forward, like he was waiting for something to happen at a specific point in time. After 10 minutes of silence, I tried breaking it. "You ever worked this route before?" He didn't answer immediately. That pause felt heavy, like he was choosing a version of reality. "Yes," he said finally. "Many times." I frowned. "Your new transfer? From where?" This time, he turned slightly toward me. "I don't remember the start," he said. "Only the route." That answer should have made no sense. But something about the way he said it made me not ask again. We passed mile marker 14. That's when the radio hissed. Not static, not interference. A clean sound, like someone breathing into the mic. Then a voice came through. My voice. "Unit 17, do not proceed past mile marker 16. I froze. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. Faraz didn't react. I looked at him. "Did you hear that?" He nodded. "Yeah," he said. "It's early tonight." "Early?" Before I could respond, the radio spoke again. Same voice. My voice. "Turn back now. Do not stop the car." I felt my stomach drop. I wasn't speaking. The radio shouldn't have been able to pick that up. I switched frequency. Static, then silence. Faraz finally looked out the window. "That's new," he said quietly. "What is?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed ahead. The road sign for mile marker 15 was missing. Just gone. No pull. No shadow. No mark where it used to be. Like it had never existed. I slowed the car. "Records say this stretch is clean construction," I muttered. "No maintenance issues." Faraz shook his head slightly. "No," he said. "It used to be sealed." That word stuck. Sealed. Like something buried. Like something not meant to be reopened. The radio crackled again. This time, a third voice. Also mine. "Unit 17. Confirmed visual on the bridge collapse." I slammed the radio off. "What bridge?" I snapped. Faraz didn't blink. "There isn't one now," he said. "That's the problem." We kept driving, but the road started feeling wrong. Not visually at first. Emotionally, like the distance between objects wasn't matching memory. The trees on the left were too far apart. The right shoulder didn't have a shoulder anymore. Just darkness that didn't reflect light properly. Then I saw something that made me ease off the gas. A patrol car, parked on the side of the road. Same model, same lights, same number plate. Unit 17. My unit. I stopped completely. My mouth went dry. "That's impossible," I said. Faraz leaned forward slightly. "Don't open the door," he said. I looked at him. "Why is my car there?" He didn't answer. Instead, he asked something worse. "Do you remember leaving it?" I didn't, but I also couldn't remember arriving here either. The parked car's headlights flickered. Once, twice, then went out, like something inside had noticed us noticing it. The radio came alive again, but this time it wasn't my voice. It was Faraz's. Unit 17 reporting collision at mile marker 16. Both officers unresponsive. I turned slowly toward him. He was already looking at me. Not surprised, not confused, just tired, like he had heard this before, like he had said it before. "You're not supposed to hear that yet," he said softly. My throat tightened. "What is this place?" I asked. He looked back at the road. "That depends," he said, "which version of the report you're in." A cold silence filled the car. The park patrol unit behind us flickered again in the mirrors, but when I checked directly, it wasn't there. Only empty road. I felt my pulse in my ears. "Faraz," I said carefully, "what are you?" He didn't look at me when he answered. "I think I'm the one who stays after the call ends." That didn't help, not even a little. We started moving again, but slower now, like the road itself was resisting us. The headlights revealed something ahead that shouldn't exist. A faded checkpoint booth. Old, rusted, half swallowed by roadside darkness. I had never seen it in any map, but Faraz sighed like he recognized it. "We're close," he said. "Close to what?" He finally turned to me fully, and for the first time, I saw something crack in his calm expression. Not fear, memory, to the part where you decide. He said, "Decide what?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached into the glove compartment, pulled out a folded sheet of paper. He handed it to me. It was a route log, but the name at the top made my blood slow down. Officer Rahim. My name, signed, dated, from 5 years ago. I stopped the car, so hard the tires squealed. "No!" I whispered. "No, this is wrong." Faraz watched me carefully. "You always say that here," he said. I looked at him, shaking now. "What is this place?" I demanded again. "Why am I on this file?" He leaned back in his seat, and for the first time, his voice wasn't calm. It was almost sad. "Because you never left it," he said. The radio clicked one more time, and then my own voice returned. Soft, close, clear, Unit 17 confirmed. Incident ongoing. Officer Rahim remaining on Route 6. I stared at the radio, then at Faraz, then at the road ahead, and for the first time since the shift began, I couldn't remember if I had ever been off duty. The moment I pulled his name into the system, everything should have made sense. It didn't. Faraz. That was what he told me. But when I typed it into HR records, nothing came back. Not a missing file. Not an old record. Not even a spelling mismatch. Just blank space. Like the system had never learned his name at all. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. The glow of the monitor felt colder than the air outside. Behind me, the station was quiet. Too quiet for a night shift. Only the slow hum of the ceiling fan and the distant crackle of dispatch radio traffic. Faraz stood near the locker wall, completely still, watching nothing. Or maybe watching everything. I cleared my throat. "Your file isn't showing up," I said. He didn't look surprised. "That's normal," he replied. That sentence hit wrong. Normal? I turned the screen toward him. Nothing comes up, not even a placeholder. It's like you were never hired. He finally looked at me then, not confused, not defensive, just tired. "That's because I wasn't," he said. My fingers stopped moving. I leaned back slightly. "Then how are you in uniform?" He glanced down at himself like he was checking something he had forgotten. "I didn't say I wasn't here," he said quietly. "I said I wasn't hired." That distinction shouldn't have meant anything, but it did, because it felt like he was talking about two different kinds of existence. I opened dispatch records next. Unit assignments, shift logs, partner confirmations, anything. My name was there. My patrol car, my route, but the partner field beside me? Empty. Not even a gap. Just erased. Like I had been driving alone this entire time. A cold weight formed in my chest. "Dispatch confirmed you," I said. I heard it myself. Faraz stepped closer to the desk. For the first time, I noticed something small. His shadow didn't match his movement. It was slightly delayed, like it was remembering how to follow him. "I know what they said," he replied, "but that doesn't mean they recorded it." I rubbed my face. "That doesn't make sense." He nodded. "I know." That calm acceptance scared me more than denial would have, because denial fights reality, but acceptance bends it. I pulled up body cam logs next. Every patrol unit has automatic recording. Every movement, every conversation. If Faraz was real, he would be on file. The system loaded slowly, buffering. Then finally, file found. Unit 17, Route 6, active feed. My pulse jumped. "Here," I said, turning the screen. Faraz stepped closer. We both watched. The video opened. My face appeared first. Driving. Normal. Focused. Empty passenger seat. My voice in the recording said something about mile marker 14. Then static flickered. The screen glitched, and I heard my own voice again, but not the current me. A different tone. Slower. Tired. Unit 17 confirming second officer on board. My stomach dropped. I pointed at the screen. "That's not real. I didn't say that today." Faraz leaned in slightly. "That's not today," he said. The footage continued. The passenger seat slowly filled. Not like someone entering. More like appearing between frames. A shape resolving itself. Uniform forming in stages. Face sharpening from blur into clarity. Faraz, sitting beside me in the recording, like he had always been there. But I remembered clearly he wasn't. I slammed the monitor off. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. I stepped back from the desk. "No," I whispered. "No, that's edited. Corrupted file. Something's wrong with the system." Faraz didn't move. "It's not corrupted," he said. "It's incomplete." That word made my skin tighten. "Incomplete?" I repeated. He nodded slowly. "Some reports haven't finished writing yet." I stared at him. "You're talking like this is a story." He gave a faint, almost sad expression. "It is," he said. "Just not when you reach the end of." A knock came at the station door. Hard. 3 times. I froze. No one was scheduled for entry. No late report. No backup. Nothing. Faraz didn't react. He just listened. The knock came again. Slower this time. Patient. Like whoever was outside already knew we would open it eventually. I reached for my sidearm without thinking. "What is that?" I whispered. Faraz finally looked away from me and toward the door. "That depends," he said. "If you open it too early, it becomes something else." The radio behind us crackled to life. No static this time. Just a clean voice. My voice. "Unit 17, confirm arrival at Station 4. Proceed with standard report closure." My hand tightened on the gun. Station 4 wasn't this building. We weren't supposed to be here in the system. At least not yet. The knock came again. Closer. Stronger. Like the door had moved nearer to whoever was knocking. I took one step back. "What happens if we don't open it?" I asked. Faraz didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the desk monitor I had turned off. "It keeps trying," he said. The knocking stopped. A silence stretched. Too long. Then, a whisper slid under the door. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just close enough that I felt it more than heard it. My name. Not spoken. Recognized. I backed away from the door, completely now. "This isn't real," I said, more to myself than him. Faraz nodded. I used to think that too. That line should have helped. It didn't, because he said it like he remembered thinking it, not believing it. I turned back to him. "Tell me what you are," I said firmly. For the first time, his calm cracked slightly. Not fear. Something heavier. Like memory pressure. "I don't know," he said honestly. That surprised me. "You don't know?" He shook his head. "I only know what happens after I arrive." That didn't help either, because it implied something worse. That he always arrives. Wherever this is. Whoever I am. The radio clicked again. But this time it wasn't my voice. It was his. Faraz's voice. "Officer Rahim reporting continued patrol presence. Partner status, unstable." I looked at him sharply. He looked just as confused as I felt. "That wasn't me," he said immediately. But the radio continued anyway. Subject exhibiting early fragmentation. Memory anchor weakening. I felt my throat tighten. Memory anchor? I repeated. Faraz stared at the radio like it had betrayed him. Don't listen to that, he said quickly, but it was too late, because something in my head shifted, just slightly, like a thought I was holding on to had slipped. I blinked hard, trying to stabilize it, but now I wasn't sure what I had forgotten, or when I started forgetting it. The knocking started again, faster now, more impatient. Faraz stepped closer to me. We need to leave, he said. Leave where? I asked. He didn't answer, because even he didn't look certain anymore. And that was the first time I saw it clearly. Whatever system this was, it wasn't just hiding records. It was rewriting them. And we were still inside the version that hadn't decided what we were yet. The footage shouldn't have been possible. That was my first thought when I saw it. One officer, one seat, one moving patrol car driving Route 6 like nothing was wrong. But I was sitting next to him. I remember that clearly. Yet the screen in front of me said otherwise. The security monitor flickered inside the station office, casting a pale glow across the room. Faraz stood behind me, silent again, too still, like he didn't want a camera to notice him existing. I leaned closer. Play it again, I said. The tech officer hesitated. Sir, we already ran it 3 times. Again, I repeated. He clicked the file. The patrol footage started. Night vision green washed everything in a sick glow. My patrol car moved along Route 6. Empty road. No traffic. No movement. And inside the driver's seat, me, alone, I felt my throat tighten. That's not right, I whispered. Faraz didn't speak. The video continued. My recorded self adjusted the mirror, spoke into the radio. Unit 17, Route 6 clear. A pause. Then my recorded voice again, confirming partner present. I froze. What? I said out loud. The tech officer frowned. Sir, the log doesn't show a second officer request. But the audio kept going. My recorded voice again. Partner visual confirmed. The camera inside the car stayed unchanged. Still just me. No passenger seat movement. No shadow shift. Nothing. But I remembered him sitting there. I turned slowly toward Faraz. He was watching the screen. Not surprised. Not defensive. Just waiting. Like he already knew what I would see. I pointed at the monitor. Explain that, I said. Faraz finally spoke. I told you, he said softly. They only record what the system allows. My chest tightened. That doesn't answer anything. He nodded once. I know. The footage jumped forward. Mile marker 14 appeared on screen. My recorded car slowed slightly. Then static flickered. A distortion crawled across the image like something scratching through glass. And then the audio changed. Not mine. Faraz's voice. Clear. Close. Inside the car. Speed reduction required. Approaching anomaly zone. I jerked back. What the hell is that? I said. The tech officer looked at me confused. Sir, there's no second audio channel. But I heard it, clearly, from inside the recording. Faraz's voice continued. Do not stop the vehicle. On screen, my recorded self nodded slightly. Like I heard him too. Like I always heard him. But I wasn't there. I turned off the monitor myself this time. Silence hit the room like a wall. The tech officer looked uneasy now. Sir, do you want to flag this? I didn't answer, because I was trying to remember something very simple. When did he start speaking in my car? Faraz stepped forward slowly. Don't push it further, he said. I looked at him sharply. Why? He hesitated. For the first time, real hesitation. Because the more they log, he said quietly, the less of you stays consistent. That sentence made no sense, but it still scared me, because I understood it anyway. I grabbed the radio on the desk. Static buzzed faintly inside it. I pressed the transmit button. Unit 17, confirm second officer status. I said firmly, silence. Then my own voice answered. Not from me, from the radio. Confirmed. I froze. Faraz closed his eyes for a second, like he was bracing for something. The tech officer looked between us. "Sir, that transmission didn't go through dispatch." I dropped the radio. Something in my chest started feeling wrong, like my position in the room wasn't stable anymore, like I was being reassigned internally. Faraz stepped closer to me. "You shouldn't talk to it directly," he said. "To what?" I snapped. He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the surveillance monitor again. "It learns faster when you acknowledge it," he said. A cold silence settled. Then the station lights flickered. Once, twice, not power failure. Something softer, like blinking. The tech officer looked up nervously. "We didn't schedule maintenance tonight." The lights flickered again, and for half a second, I saw something in the monitor reflection. Not the room, not the camera feed, a different angle. My patrol car, driving, but I wasn't in it. Only Faraz was. Alone. I stepped back instinctively. "No," I said quietly. "No, that's wrong." Faraz noticed my expression. "What did you see?" he asked. I didn't want to answer, but my voice came out anyway. "You were alone." That hit him differently. Not fear, recognition. Like he had seen that version too many times. He looked away from me. "That's one of the outcomes," he said. "Outcomes?" I repeated. He nodded slightly. "There are shifts," he said. "Small variations. The system tests different arrangements." My skin went cold. "What system?" I asked. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said something worse. "The one that decides how many of us stay in the car." The tech officer stood up now. "Sir, I'm calling dispatch," he said nervously. He reached for the phone, but the line was already active. Speaker clicked on by itself, and dispatch voice came through. Calm, neutral, incorrectly familiar. "Unit 17, update status. Confirmed single operator presence." I stepped forward. "That's not protocol," I said. The dispatcher paused, then replied, "Records indicate no partner assigned." I looked at Faraz instantly. He didn't react, because he already knew the system had chosen, or maybe corrected, or maybe rewritten. The lights flickered again, longer this time. When they came back, the tech officer was sitting back down, quiet, like nothing had happened. I frowned. "Did you hear that?" He looked at me confused. "Hear what, sir?" My stomach dropped. I turned slowly toward Faraz. He was watching the monitor again, and in the reflection of the glass, there were only two things visible: me and the empty passenger seat of a patrol car. Not here, somewhere else. I stepped backward again. "This is not real," I whispered. Faraz finally looked at me directly, and for the first time, his voice wasn't calm. It was careful. "We're stabilizing," he said. "What does that mean?" I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said something I didn't expect. "You're starting to match the version they already recorded." That sentence broke something in my thinking, because it implied I wasn't changing. I was aligning. The radio crackled one last time. My voice again, but softer now, closer. "Unit 17 confirmed stable configuration." The tech officer looked down at his desk, confused, unaware, normal. I looked at him, then at Faraz, then at the monitor, and I realized something I didn't want to admit. Only one version of me was being kept in this system, and the longer I stayed inside it, the less I was allowed to disagree with what it remembered. The radio cracked before I even touched it. A voice slipped through that didn't belong on any channel I knew. "Unit 12 slowed down. There's going to be impact in 20 seconds. I froze with my hand halfway to the volume knob. The road ahead was empty, just black asphalt stretching under the weak glow of our headlights. No cars, no movement, nothing that could explain a warning like that. My partner didn't react. He just kept driving like he already knew what was coming. That was the first thing that scared me, not the warning, but him, because his face didn't change at all, like he had heard the same voice before. "Did you hear that?" I asked quietly. He nodded once. "Don't brake yet," he said. My throat tightened. "Why not?" He didn't answer. Instead, he tapped the dashboard twice, like he was counting something only he could see. 10 seconds passed. Then the world changed. A pickup truck exploded out of the side road ahead of us, headlights off, speeding straight into the intersection we were about to cross. I slammed the brake instinctively, but my partner reached over and pushed my foot down a fraction. "Not yet," he said again. It felt insane. We were going to die. The truck crossed the exact point where we would have been. If I had stopped a second earlier, it would have hit us head on. It roared past, so close I felt the wind of it shake the patrol car. Then silence again. Just engine hum and my breathing breaking apart inside my chest. My hands were shaking now. What the hell was that? I whispered. My partner finally looked at me, and that's when I noticed it. He wasn't surprised. He was relieved, like we had survived something he already knew was written. Report from dispatch? I asked. He shook his head. "No dispatch," he said softly. "That one came early." "Early?" He didn't explain. Instead, he picked up the radio again. Static crackled for a moment, then that same voice returned. "Calm. Close. Too close. Unit 12. Next event in 4 minutes. Do not stop at the bridge." My stomach dropped. There was no bridge on this route. At least there shouldn't have been. I glanced at the map on the dashboard. There it was. A thin gray line labeled Route 6 Extension Bridge. I had never seen it before. "Since when is that there?" I asked. My partner finally gave me something that wasn't silence. Since people started dying on it. The words hit wrong. Like he wasn't talking about traffic accidents. Like he was talking about something else entirely. We drove on. The road felt longer now. Not physically, but like space itself was stretching to avoid something ahead. The radio stayed quiet for a few minutes. Too quiet. That silence was worse than the warnings, because I kept waiting for the next voice. And part of me didn't want it, but another part needed it. Like the warnings were the only thing keeping us anchored to reality. Then it came again, this time sharper, more urgent. Unit 12, black sedan approaching blind curve. Do not attempt assist. Repeat, do not assist. I leaned forward. A blind curve was coming up, and sure enough, headlights appeared ahead. A sedan swerved slightly, too fast of a turn. It was going to lose control. My instincts kicked in. "Should we?" I started. "No." My partner cut me off instantly. His voice was colder now. "Let it happen." I stared at him. "You want to just watch them crash?" He didn't look at me. "I want you to live through your shift." The sedan entered the curve. For a second, it held, then the tires slipped. Metal screamed. The car spun off the road and disappeared into darkness beyond the trees. No explosion, just absence, like it had been swallowed. I was already reaching for the radio when my partner grabbed my wrist. "Don't call it in yet." "Why?" "Because it hasn't been recorded." That didn't make sense. Accidents don't need permission to exist. But something about the way he said it made my skin crawl, like reality had steps I didn't know about. We drove closer to the curve. I expected smoke, debris, anything, but there was nothing. The road was clean, too clean, not even tire marks. I stepped out of the car before I could think better of it. Cold air hit my face like a warning. I walked toward where the sedan had vanished. My boots hit gravel, then grass, then nothing. Just sudden empty space. No ditch, no slope, no wreck, only darkness where a road should have ended. My partner stayed by the car, watching me, not stopping me. That was worse. "Where is it?" I called back. He didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "It only exists when it needs to." I turned back toward him. "What does that mean?" But before he could answer, the radio screamed again. This time not a warning. A recording, and I swear to God, it was my voice. Unit 12 approaching curve, impact unavoidable. My blood went cold. I grabbed the radio. "That's not me," I said immediately, but my partner shook his head. "It will be." The radio continued. My voice kept speaking, describing a crash I hadn't even lived yet. Metal, fire, screams, distance collapsing. I dropped the radio like it burned me. "What is this?" I snapped. "What the hell is happening to us?" My partner finally stepped closer. And for the first time, I saw something crack in his expression. Not fear, something heavier, like memory. You're hearing yourself because the route is catching up, he said. That doesn't mean anything. It does here. He pointed toward the empty curve. Every officer who works this route starts overlapping with it. Overlapping with what? He hesitated, then said it like he hated the word. Future events. A cold wave went through my chest. No, I shook my head. That's impossible. He looked at me like I was the one not seeing clearly. Then explain how you heard yourself on the radio. I couldn't, so I didn't speak. We stood there for a long moment. Wind moving through trees that didn't seem to belong to the landscape anymore. Then the radio spoke again, but this time softer, closer. Unit 12, last warning. Do not continue to bridge. My partner exhaled slowly, like he was tired. Now you understand, he said. No, I whispered. I don't. But I was starting to, because I noticed something I hadn't before. The road behind us. It was longer than it should have been. The patrol car looked smaller now, like distance had shifted while we weren't looking. I turned back to him. Who are you? I asked. He didn't answer immediately. Then finally, someone who forgot to get off the route. That sentence didn't make sense, but it felt like truth anyway. The radio clicked one last time, and a new voice came through. Not warning, not recording. Direct, calm. Unit 12, you are now inside event sequence. I felt my stomach drop. Event sequence? I repeated. My partner closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. We're not responding to accidents anymore, he said quietly. We're inside them. A distant sound rolled through the air then, like something large shifting far ahead. Not a crash. Not yet. More like something preparing. The bridge appeared in the distance without warning. No construction lights. No signage. Just a long shape stretching across black water that wasn't there before. I stepped back instinctively. That wasn't on the map, I said. My partner nodded. It is now. My radio crackled again, but I didn't need to hear it anymore, because I already knew what it would say. And for the first time, I understood the worst part. The warnings weren't trying to save us. They were telling us how long we had left before we became part of them. My partner opened the car door. Come on, he said. I didn't move. Where? He looked at the bridge. To finish your report. And in that moment, I realized something I didn't want to accept. He wasn't leading me away from danger. He was guiding me toward the place where danger never ended. Behind us, the radio spoke one final time. And this time, it didn't sound like a warning at all. It sounded like confirmation. Unit 12, approaching final event. The bridge lights flickered. And for the first time, I saw movement at the far end. Something waiting. Something that had already seen us arrive. The shift report came through at 2:14 a.m. Same route, same patrol unit, same partner. But I was sitting alone in the car, and the name still appeared on the screen like nothing had changed. Officer K, 12, assigned partner. Officer R, Hale. I stared at it, so long the screen started to blur. My throat went dry, because Officer R, Hale was supposed to be gone. Not missing, not transferred, gone. I checked the dispatch log again. Then again, same entry, same timestamp, same comm. Official formatting like the world hadn't just broken in half. Behind me, the radio clicked once. No static this time, just a clean voice. His voice. Don't ignore the assignment. I almost dropped the radio. My hands locked around it instead. No, I said out loud. No. That's not possible. Silence answered me. The kind of silence that feels like it's listening back. I looked around the empty patrol car. Passenger seat. Empty. Dashboard reflection. Only me. But the seatbelt on the right side was slightly stretched, like someone had just been sitting there. I reached over and touched it. Still warm. My chest tightened hard. I should have stopped the shift right there. Called it in. Walked away. But the system didn't allow that thought to finish, because the screen updated again. New assignment detail. Route 6, Bridge Sector, hazard response active. And under it, partner status, active. My breath caught. Active? I whispered. How is he active? The radio answered instantly, because the shift is not closed. I turned the volume down slowly, like lowering it would make it less real. It didn't. The car engine felt louder now. Too loud for an idle night patrol. I drove anyway, not because I wanted to, because something about the assignment made refusing feel impossible, like the route already had me inside it. The highway looked the same at first. Dark, empty, too still. But I noticed something wrong within minutes. The road signs were repeating. Same broken reflector, same faded paint mark, same crack in the asphalt shaped like a long scar. I passed it 3 times. That was the first loop. My stomach tightened. This is wrong, I said. The radio clicked again. You are on shift, his voice replied. I swallowed hard. You're dead, I said quietly. A pause. Then, not during active duty. My grip on the steering wheel tightened so hard my knuckles went white. I tried to slow down. The car didn't respond the way it should have. Not braking, not resisting, just continuing. Like momentum wasn't mine anymore. Like the route had taken over the driving part. I looked at the passenger seat again. Empty, but I heard fabric shift. A small movement, like someone adjusting their posture. My chest went tight. I'm alone, I said out loud. The radio responded immediately. You've never been alone on this route. And that's when I saw it. A reflection in the rear view mirror. Not clearly, not fully formed, but enough. Uniform outline. Sitting in the passenger seat. Looking forward. Not at me. At the road. My mouth went dry. I didn't turn my head. I couldn't, because I knew if I confirmed it directly, it would become real in a way I couldn't undo. The radio crackled again. Continue patrol. My voice broke slightly. I can't, I'm seeing. Continue. The tone wasn't angry. That was worse. It was procedural. Like this had been written down before I ever lived it. The highway ahead curved slightly. Familiar stretch. Too familiar. And then I saw it. A patrol car parked on the shoulder. Lights off. Engine dead. Same model. Same number plate. My stomach dropped. Because it was mine. Except I was inside it. And outside it. At the same time. I slowed instinctively. The parked version of my car had its door open. Empty driver's seat. But passenger side. Something was still there. Sitting. Waiting. My breathing became uneven. That's not possible. I whispered. The radio answered softly. It already happened. The car passed a duplicate. As I crossed it, I felt something pull at my chest, like memory being stretched in 2 directions. My vision blurred for a second, then cleared, and the duplicate was gone. No car, no trace, just road again. But I knew I had seen it. I know what I saw. My partner's voice came again. Closer now, less radio-like. More inside the car. You're merging, he said. I flinched. Stop saying that. You've been driving this shift twice, he continued. My throat tightened. What does that even mean? Silence followed. Long enough that I thought it ended. Then, you died at the bridge. The words didn't land at first. They just floated, like they didn't know where to attach themselves in my mind. Then they sank. Slow. Heavy. Cold. No. I said instantly, no, I'm here. But even as I said it, I noticed something. My hands. They looked slightly out of focus, like the edges weren't fully solid. I stared at them while driving. The steering wheel passed through them slightly in reflection, not physically, visually, like the world couldn't decide how real I was supposed to be. My breathing turned shallow. What is happening to me? I asked. The radio responded quietly. You are finishing your route. I shook my head hard. No, I want out. A pause. Then his voice softened. Then remember how it started. That stopped me, because I didn't remember starting. Not clearly, just fragments. Headlights, a bridge, a warning on the radio, impact coming too fast. And then, nothing clean, just gaps. My chest tightened. What happened at the bridge? I asked. No answer came. But the car began slowing without me touching the brakes. Ahead, The Route 6 bridge appeared again. Closer this time. Too close, like it had moved toward me instead of me approaching it. The air inside the car felt heavier, thicker, like breathing through wet cloth. I turned my head slightly, just enough to look at the passenger seat, and this time I saw him clearly, not sitting like a memory, not like a reflection. Real, uniform intact, badge visible, face unchanged. Calm, too calm. I whispered, "You're supposed to be dead." He finally looked at me and said something that made my skin go cold. "So are you?" The bridge lights flickered ahead. The radio gave one final transmission. No warning, no instruction, just confirmation. Unit K-12, final cycle engaged. My hand shook on the wheel. "I don't want to do this," I said. He nodded slightly. "I know." Then he looked forward again and added quietly, "But the route does." The car kept moving. Not fast, not slow, just inevitable. The bridge waited ahead like it had already decided how this would end. And somewhere deep inside the radio static, I realized something worse than dying. This shift wasn't ending. It was looping, and I was learning, too late, that the partner I thought I lost was never meant to leave the route at all.